it slow, take it easy. We got lots of sports to talk about. Going to be a busy weekend for sure. We got the Grizz tonight. We've got the Tigers, knock on wood, on Sunday. We've got NFL football on this radio station, Saturday and Sunday, doubleheaders both days. We got Ole Miss and Georgia coming your way tomorrow morning. The pregame show begins at 10:30. So, man, there is so much to talk about. And let's start with a Memphian who is a wanted man.
Dave, we got the Grizzlies tomorrow night at FedEx Forum, too.
Oh, we do. That's right. So they're going back-to-back. They play in Minnesota tonight. There will not be Brevin Knight, who apparently will not be a part of the broadcast because of COVID protocol. But we might have Ja. He might be back into this. So, Brett, there is a Memphian who is a wanted man, and I'm not talking about Matthew Bledsoe, who was arrested today, a Memphian who owns a moving company that was part of the riot at the Capitol. I'm talking
Insurrection.
It was a riot. Was it not a riot? Did they not riot and break down the walls and get into the?
A riot is not an attempt at overthrowing the government. A riot's not an attempt at harming the custody of successor to the office of the presidency.
Okay,
an insurrection is that.
All right, I think then it would be a fair description to say a riot and insurrection because they rioted to get in.
It was malice aforethought too, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was not a spontaneous thing. Anyway. Beyond that, let's get back to sports, and let's get to the wanted man, and that is Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator
He's got good options.
Of the Tennessee Titans, who has been offered the job in Atlanta. But wait, there's more. The Eagles are after Arthur Smith. There may be, because I remember reading the odds list yesterday to you. He was on 3 or 4, or he's one of the top 3 candidates. There are other
the Jets,
teams,
and they named someone else.
There are other teams that are absolutely hot after Arthur Smith. And
yeah, good options. I would take Atlanta because of Matt Ryan and his and Arthur's offensive prowess.
That would be a good place to go. The Eagles.
Matt Ryan may be older than Arthur Smith. I'm looking now. No, Arthur's got him by 3 years. Arthur's 35. Arthur's 38. Matt Ryan's 35.
Matt Ryan's 35 though. One's a coach, one's a player. Big difference. I would say, would you rather work with Arthur Blank or would you rather work with Laurie? I forget his first name. Jeffrey Laurie.
Arthur Blank. All the way.
I think so, too. The quarterback situation in Philly, is Carson Wentz really a good quarterback that Doug Peterson kind of screwed up? And it was Frank Reich that was really the genius behind that great run to the Super Bowl? I don't know. But the thing about Matt Ryan is you do have maybe a year or two. I mean, not everybody's Drew Brees and Tom Brady. And I'm looking forward to later in this program. In fact, we will rank the 8 quarterbacks that have made the divisional round of the playoffs. We will rank them 8 through 1 at 4:30 today. I'm looking forward to that discussion for sure. But you don't get a Brady and a Brees that can play at the skill level that those guys play at into their 40s every day. I don't know that Matt Ryan is there, but Matt Ryan has been a very serviceable quarterback
year this year.
That did get to 1 Super Bowl.
That franchise has just not been the same since up 28-3 in Houston at Super Bowl 51. And, Dave, I was sitting there just amazed by it going, work on the clock some.
Yeah.
I mean, they were out there 3 and out in lickety-split and just left Tom Brady enough time at the end to push it to overtime, and they got the touchdown in overtime, and the Falcons have not been the same. They've never recovered.
I would tell you, I think that was the worst case of game management, of time clock management.
Oh, it's just dreadful.
That I have ever seen at the pro level. And they had that game won.
Now, if they run another minute
Wow.
off. The Patriots needed every last second to push it to overtime. Overtime, as predicted by me on that Super Bowl, that score in that final, 34-28 in overtime. Nailed it. Tom Brady got it right, but for the poor Falcons.
You really nailed that? I mean, the exact
Sure
score,
did.
saying it was going to
Sure did.
overtime?
First Super Bowl overtime. Sure did.
Have you, how many times have you ever predicted an overtime?
Before that,
Yeah.
that was about my 11th year in a row to predict overtime.
Okay. Just, I wanted to check on that. And also, I was going to verify with Drew. Do we have any audio proof?
If we don't, I tell you who does.
Who?
Matt Wyatt saved it on his show in Mississippi because Matt didn't know I predicted it every year for 10 years
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
And still thinks it's the greatest prediction ever.
Okay. All right. I think I would probably go with Atlanta too if I were Arthur Smith. But he's got options. There is no question about that, and we only wish him the best. And by the time we speak again next Monday, he will be the head coach of a National Football League team. That is a great story.
It is a great story, and it was hard work and a lot of thankless jobs and kind of dead-end tasks. He performed them all well and worked his way up that chain in the NFL that you have to. I mean, it's a real brotherhood, and it's a real pecking order, and he's worked his way up it, and he's going to get his shot. And it doesn't make a darn what his first or last name is, really the whole time. But for sure, this point on, you know what he's got to do? He's got to win.
Let me just tell you, if anybody ever says anything about nepotism, that only gets you to a low-level, open-the-door situation.
Started. That's it.
When I hear, people complain in my business, in our business, guys like Joe Buck or used to be Tom Brenneman and
Kenny Albert.
And they would say,
any of Harry Carey's
right,
family.
Skip Carey,
Chip
or Chip now. Here's the deal. You may get your foot in the door to begin with somebody, but to get to the levels those guys got, you've got to be really, really good. And the same thing with Arthur Smith. You might get to be a GA somewhere, okay? You might actually get in your foot in the door to be a runner, right? To become the offensive coordinator and then a head football coach,
got to have chops.
You've got to be really, really good at what you do, and there is no question that Arthur Smith is really, really good at what he does. He's done a great job with the Titans and their turnaround, and that was a great turnaround. I know they're all incredibly disappointed the way they played last weekend. That's the NFL.
He'll be getting a better quarterback in Matt Ryan than he's leaving in Ryan Tannehill in Nashville.
I would say, historically, yes, absolutely. But you know what? Tannehill is a serviceable quarterback, and I worry a little about
serviceable.
I worry a little bit about 35 years old, going to be 36 when they play the next time.
How about this? Speaking of ages, and he was younger. Don Shula was 33 years old, and Johnny U's head coach.
Well, Johnny U probably was older at that time.
He was. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine having to go in and look, man. I'm your coach. You got to listen to me. Johnny U.
You know what?
And he was the biggest thing in the sport at the time. Quarterback. Jim Brown was real big.
I agree with you there, but in those days, I'm not sure quarterbacks really called their own plays. They might have had the ability to audible. I think everybody at that level does. But I'm pretty sure most of the time coaches were still calling plays for quarterbacks in those days. They didn't do it through a helmet speaker.
And if you change out of a play, it better work.
It better work.
Or the first thing you're going to hear when you get to the sideline, run the play we called.
Yeah. Well, everything changes too. If we go back in time and you talk about a guy like Vince Lombardi, Vince Lombardi could act certain ways with players who had come from college into the pros, and they accepted that, and it was a different day and time. I don't think, for instance, that when he takes over the job in Jacksonville, that Urban Meyer can treat the professional NFL players in this day and age who have representation that they didn't used to have under Lombardi, that have a players association that is strong that they did not have in the days of Lombardi, that you can play the same kind of mind game with a player.
Right. And if you show any rah-rah, they almost will laugh at you. Lou Holtz, as great as he was as a public speaker and often self-deprecating, I think he exaggerated a little bit that he wrote a team fight song for the New York Jets and walked into training camp and said, all right, we're all going to learn the team fight song. He handed out, and Joe Namath wadded it up and threw it on the floor. He said, I'm not singing any songs.
That would not shock me if that were the case, for sure.
And Dave, the rah-rah thing, one thing, but also the great story Bart Starr told quite often. I heard him tell it at a AutoZone Liberty Bowl Fellowship of Christian Athletes breakfast one morning, that early in his career, early in Vince Lombardi's tenure, that he cursed and berated him very badly in front of the whole team. And he withstood it. And then in privacy, he told him, he said, Coach Lombardi, you can't talk to me like that. He said, I'm your quarterback. You can trade me. You can get a new quarterback, but you can't talk like that to me in front of the rest of the team because I've got to have a prominent voice. And that Coach Lombardi said, you're right. I'm sorry. It'll never happen again.
Wow. I've never heard that story. I certainly believe that to be true. I'll say this about Lombardi. Lombardi was all about winning, whatever it took to win. And if he felt that this was the best way to give his quarterback an advantage, he was going to do it. So I absolutely buy that.
Bart Starr was a good man too.
He certainly seemed to be. Did you watch any of the NBA? What is it? And it's not NBA Insiders. What is the show with Shaq and with Charles?
I love
and
it.
Kenny.
I tell you what I love about it is Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley. They speak the unvarnished truth, and they can, and they know it, and they know they can. They have a little wider sway than a lot of analysts, pro and college, black or white, male or female, than a lot of other people do, and they make it work. And every utterance Shaquille O'Neal said, I agree with, and he could only say it that way.
Well, here's the deal. I've always thought that Charles Barkley has a get-out-of-jail card free. He has the security and the smarts to be able to say whatever he wants to say and get away with it. And he usually is pretty responsible about it. And I think now Shaq's got more money than God for all the little business things that he's done. He's been successful in almost every business thing he has done, from the ring to all the endorsements that he's got. And Shaq is a pretty smart guy. And so they have the security financially and the cred to say whatever the heck they want to say and what they perceive
and they're
to be
unafraid.
The truth. And they have no fear, because if you fire them, it really won't matter. And nobody wants to fire them because they're so popular that people want to watch them. So it's a great position for them to be in. And I don't think they abuse it, because I really think they don't have necessarily an agenda that I have seen on a regular basis. They just view something, and then they're strong with their opinion. And when
they pick their spots, and that's what makes it come off more. If they were screaming fire in the crowded theater every single night,
right,
it would lose its oomph. It's why in the history of cinematography, Rhett Butler, Clark Gable, cursing at the end of the movie, and by today's standard, a light curse word. If he had been cursing horribly the whole movie, it wouldn't have had its zing. They saved it for the best moment, and Shaq and Charles Barkley save it for the big stuff. They're not out there every night on their soapbox. Most night they're just really having fun and
right,
backslapping and entertaining.
Well, the hottest button topic is when they usually come the strongest, and that's exactly what they did. The biggest hot button moment in the NBA has been this trade, this attitude of Harden, this attitude of Irving, And now you will have them together, and they're all going to have to sacrifice, which I am going to have to see in order to believe. But his stuff on James Harden was right to the point when he said he gave his all to the city, and he said he didn't give nothing. And that really is the truth. You didn't see in all these guys, from the big guy to the star two guards in Paul and in Westbrook, you never saw Harden really try to change his role to acquiesce for the betterment of the team, did you? He didn't give his all. I thought that was so perfectly put, and he gave out numbers to show it, and he's right.
Kyrie Irving, facts, man.
By the way,
facts will win an argument every time, won't they?
Kyrie Irving is about 900,000 in the hole for whatever he's trying to do, for breaking the protocol and for missing games, and it could go up to even more. But I guess he makes enough where you wouldn't miss $1 million, but that seems hard to believe. $1 million.
It does.
Man.
That's his business. Now, look, this weekend, I don't know that I can guarantee you $1 million. In fact, I'm not going to, because I don't want to get in any trouble with any of the legal situation. But I want you to listen to me, football fans. The perfect way to make the playoffs even more exciting this weekend is called the Same Game Parlay Bet, and they're only available on FanDuel Sportsbook. A Same Game Parlay Bet lets you combine multiple bets from a single game for an even bigger win during this divisional round. You combine the money line, the over and under, player props, all in one parlay. And best of all, FanDuel, they're letting you place the same game parlay risk-free. All FanDuel customers, you can get up to $10 back on your bet if you don't win the playoffs this weekend. Perfect time to give it a shot. It's just one of the many ways to win this weekend on FanDuel. It's easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to find your bet. FanDuel, they pay you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. You have odds boosts and specials every day, and this weekend, some big super boosts each weekend. If you haven't already, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up to get started. Use our promo code CASH, C-A-S-H. You know it. Sign up at promo code CASH. If you're a current customer, then you're all set. Go check out Same Game Parlays. Only available on FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. Bruce Marshall will give us all the Vegas odds about 3:30. But this hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. The one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis, offering the start of the new year Golden Opportunity 2021 sales event. Great offers on all 2021s and always special lease options. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking great and driving in style. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, that is everything that is going on, including the doubleheader on Saturday and the doubleheader on Sunday, the divisional round of the National Football League playoffs. Always a lot of fun. And that the Grizzlies are back in action in Minneapolis tonight. And that Ja Morant, basically just a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks or so, right? That was it. I think it was December the 28th that he got hurt. He's questionable for tonight. They went from not even doubtful. They went from out all the way to questionable, which is a jump up, which tells you he might play a little bit tonight unless he goes out and in warm-ups looks or feels terrible, which I don't know. But what an amazing recovery. You know, they call him Superman. He's got super recovery powers, too, to get that much better that quickly before the time frame that was originally given. And he is so critical to this team, and he's just fun to watch. So Ja Morant may be out on the court again tonight.
I'm with you, Dave. That is a top story. My top story, the Grizzlies at 5-6 with a win tonight. They can be 500, 6 up, 6 down. A win tomorrow night at FedEx Forum, 1 over 500. The Tigers play in Tulsa Sunday, and with a loss, the Tigers would drop to 6-5. I didn't think at any point this year the Grizzlies would be anywhere near the same record around 500 with the Tigers, but it just goes to show how critical this game Sunday for the Tigers that it is. If they can win that game and get some momentum with this spate of games that are coming, then they can turn the complexion around on this season very similarly to how the Grizzlies have done.
Yeah, as was explained to us last week by Jason Munns, who will be joining us, that I believe to be a quad one opportunity. Quad one win would be the remedy that the University of Memphis needs to sort of turn around this season. I worry about rust, that's for sure, when you haven't played in nearly 3 weeks.
Not top story of the day.
And that is the numbers with COVID. Almost 500 new cases, 491 in Shelby County since last we spoke. 9 new deaths, 4,500 tests, 11% positivity, which actually is 4% better than it was yesterday. Hospital space improved too. We have about 7,500 active cases. 24,000 residents have now been vaccinated, so we still have a ways to go. Both mayors Strickland and Harris are making a case to the state for a bigger share of the vaccine, and they're saying because of Memphis's proximity in 3 states and the amount of healthcare workers, about 30,000, that their share should be a little bit bigger than what was initially proposed. Good luck on that one, both mayors.
Good for them out there advocating, though.
Yeah.
Because they're right.
Yeah.
Because everybody from eastern Arkansas, north Mississippi, north and northwest and northwest Tennessee, you head to the doctor in Memphis.
No, that's exactly right. They're closing in on 24 million cases in America now. We have had 115,000 new ones, and that was a couple of hours ago. And almost, unfortunately, 400,000 now who have passed away. 94 million around the world, 9.5 million still active. We had 500,000 new cases in the last 24 hours.
Today was the day, Friday, January 15th, the most stunning COVID news for me that I've gotten concerning friends, and also talked to my friends that are in the funeral home business, and they say every funeral home in Arkansas is just all but overwhelmed. I mean, it is unreal. And today, I mean, just a family friends of ours forever, as long as I ever can remember, just really racked with it. My not top story, it is real and it is rough. Anybody that denies that, I pity you. My not top story, sports. Urban makes the move, but the future NFL long-run coach, Arthur Smith's going to be around a lot longer in the NFL than Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer may jump in, make a big splash, but Arthur Smith's got a chance to be that 15, 20-year head coach in the NFL, if not at one place around, because once you get in the queue, you're in it, and he will get in it when he gets named a head coach somewhere between now and when we assemble again Monday.
You're right. I mean, at 38, you would expect he's got a shot to be around for 15 years. I hope he's around for 15 years with the Atlanta Falcons. Wouldn't that be great to have that kind of stability? And that is possible. I also agree.
I hope he knocks off Bill Belichick.
He's going to be around.
Go win you 6 of them or 7.
He's going to be around a lot longer than Urban Meyer, because Urban Meyer is up there in age. We already know he's had burnout issues.
He's comfortable.
He says he's not going to go crazy in practice because of past burnout issues. I hope that he can live up to that. I hope he can make that adjustment. And I think he's really got a shot with this. And I mentioned it at the close yesterday, what we learned.
It's a great coach.
When you've got 4 of the top 45 picks in the draft and 11 total in that draft, when you've got $100 million in cap space and you know you can have Trevor Lawrence if that's the guy you want, and I suspect it is, I mean, you've really got a shot to turn that thing around in a couple of years, and again,
And pretty much total control
build your
from their
legacy.
owner.
Oh yeah, and not to mention $12 million a year. That is not a bad deal. That is for sure. We are officially underway on this Friday. Those are your top and your not top stories. I can't wait to talk with the golden man from the Gold Sheet. That's Bruce Marshall. He joins us on the NFL playoffs in just 1 minute.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays.
What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurants.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Progressive presents an interview with your upstairs neighbor.
My name's Barry. I live right above you. I don't host parties. I host after parties. They're like parties, only louder and nobody goes home. You can see right here I ripped out all the carpeting because it was holding me back with my pogo stick. Man's got a pogo. Oh, I'm a prankster. I'll grease up a soda can and then when somebody grabs it, boom!
Progressive can't save you from your upstairs neighbor, but we can save you money when you bundle renters and auto insurance with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time, as simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on a chilly, it is a wintry day. And yesterday we got teased with a little spring-like weather. Not so today, but the weekend's almost here, and what a weekend it will be because we absolutely positively have the National Football League divisional round of playoffs. We're looking forward to that. In fact, we're going to break it all down with our golden man from the Gold Sheet, Bruce Marshall, in a minute. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and I want to remind you that early bird pool sale still going on. Get it now. Reserve your installation spot. You'll get priority if you buy now, and you will beat the summer price increases. I promise. Spa sale. I've been talking about this for a couple of months. They've got hundreds of spas on order. Go and see Our guys at Family Leisure reserve yours now. Same thing. You reserve it now. You'll save some money in the long run. And in stock and ready for installation are play gyms. For those of you who love to put those things for the kids in the yard, they're ready for you. They can even go, like yesterday would have been a perfect day, to go and install. The early bird sales going on right now at I-40 and Wooden Road. That's Family Leisure, where family and fun do come together. So let's head to Vegas and our good friend Bruce Marshall on a very, very busy weekend. You know, I would suspect in the past the betting parlors that they have in the casinos at Vegas, not like it is for the NCAA tournament or, you know, maybe even for the Super Bowl, but they're pretty packed for this round, aren't they? What's it like in Vegas right now?
Well, as much as it can be these days. I mean, they have limited capacity in the sports books, but remember that their volume hasn't decreased. It's increased actually a little bit because they have all the mobile apps, which is the way to go, and which our friends in Mississippi ought to step on board with too. But anyway, that's another subject. The Vegas has done. They do pretty well because people don't have to be in there to watch. Limited seating at most of the sports books. They don't have the ballroom seating like they used to do when they would have bring in big TVs and you'd have hundreds of people in a ballroom. Most of the hotels did that. They haven't done that at all this year, but they're still doing business pretty briskly based on the mobile app.
Bruce, don't you think the next step, like in Arkansas, and I spoke with a friend of ours today, a friend of both Dave and I today, who's in the Arkansas General Assemblies in the state Senate, and I've talked to several other members of the Arkansas state legislature. Look, it's legal in West Memphis, just right here by us. It's legal in Hot Springs at Oaklawn. It's legal. I think there's a place in Russellville that has sports wagering. I think a place in Siloam Springs. But what I'm getting to, why not? Look, it's legal. If you don't want to, don't. If you do not want to, if you have a predisposition to it, or after you've done it a time or two, you don't like it and you don't think it's for you, don't go. But for those that want to, why not around the state you have other kiosks? You have kiosks in Texarkana. You have in Mississippi do the same thing. Not just at the places at Tunica or down on the Gulf Coast, but heck, have a kiosk in Oxford if you want to go to ABC Casino's wagering spot. Why not?
Oh yeah, that's possible too. And there's spots in Europe I've been around where they have kiosks in Spain and places like that. But the mobile app is way the easier way to do it. And now there's some other questions with that. They don't want minors to get access to it and all in that, and I understand that. But the template for making this thing work has already been laid out by New Jersey and Nevada before that. And New Jersey's template is not being followed by too many of the states yet. Eventually they might, but mobile is the way to go. The overhead is much lower. The volume you get, it's the convenience factor. It's best for the customers too. And that'll be the key for all these states to really reap out of this what they should. They aren't all doing it that way. And there's a perfect example to do it in New Jersey. By the way, about a month ago, I wrote about what's going on in New York, and they do have wagering now, but they don't have mobile yet. And Governor Cuomo has been staunchly against it. And he's got some guys in Albany who are trying to push for it. And it's a pretty good read. It's still up there on my website at goldsheets.com.
I'm going to go read that, and excuse my naivete, but how so if you can do it in New Jersey, but you can't do it in New York, there has to be GPS features on your phone that would disable you if you tried to make that same bet with that same phone in New York City?
Yes, and here's the dynamic of that. When I was there last, when New York was still normal before the pandemic, at Penn Station at lunchtime, you would see a lot of guys getting on, and gals too, if they wanted to bet. You can ride the NGIT over to the Caucasus, the first stop, about 10 minutes away. There, your GPS, the GPS signal, once you get on the other side of the Hudson, it works. And you can bet, and then you come right back to Penn Station. I mean, a lot of people did that, actually. Much of New Jersey's business is coming from New York, also at the brick and mortar books like the FanDuel at Meadowlands. They're big sports, but also the mobile apps, because you just get within the geofencing, and a lot of people in New York do that. They just go to the other side of the river of the Hudson.
course
There,
they
you're in
do.
New Jersey.
Wow.
You can do it.
Do you have to go if you win? Do you have to go back to get your money to the same train stop?
Well, just go somewhere
if you're superstitious.
where the mobile works. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it could be there. It could be down in Perth Amboy or wherever. But as long as it works, you can do it all on the phone.
Wow, that's wild.
Hey, Bruce, speaking of working, the whole college to pro coaching thing, we're going to get into all these games. Everybody stay with us. We're going to have Bruce go through every game. But the whole college to pro coaching thing, and Jimmy Johnson's often brought up. I haven't this week when we've been talking about it, but does Bill Walsh count as a college guy to pro? Because he was at Stanford.
Should.
He was at Stanford before he went to pros and after he went to pros.
He should, absolutely.
Yes, but with an asterisk, because he had been an NFL guy for many years, worked with Paul Brown at the Bengals, and he was with the Chargers at Pro Throw, and then he got hired by Stanford. So he's in the NFL. He's 2 years at Stanford, then he went to the NFL. He's an exception because he can count, but I mean, he should have an asterisk. But there's plenty of others. Most have considered it. I mean, there were stories of when the Bear almost wanted to take the Dolphins job.
Very close.
And when Joe Paterno really close to taking the
Frank Broyles
Patriots
was almost the Falcons' expansion coach.
Frank Broyles almost with the Falcons.
Where did Joe Pa almost go? It had to be it had to be Philly, right?
New England.
Giants.
New England.
After
okay.
in seven, right before, and Chuck Fairbanks took that job instead.
Huh.
So it's have now a few other. I mean, Vermeil actually would be sort of. He was at UCLA a couple of years. Vermeil's a good example.
Oh, he's a
because
great example, but he burned out.
He did burn out, but then he came back and he was.
He did
pretty well. Yeah, he had. Most of these guys have had some experience in the NFL, at least a little bit, and that's why I'd watch down the road. I don't think Urban has. Ryan Day has coached in the NFL before, so I think down the road he might be somebody they target. But it doesn't always work. Nick Saban.
Since you're bringing up one, it's hardly ever mentioned that Jimmy Johnson was so good when he made the move, and really helped turn the Cowboys around.
Yes. Oh yeah, Johnson's the greatest example of how it can work. John McKay. There's another one. It took him a few years, but he got Tampa Bay up to speed. It's mixed. I mean, but I think Urban, though, obviously a big payday there. I think it's a little risky, though, for the mustache man to go and pay all this money, given that Urban is, his track record has been he's moved on. So that's we'll see how that plays out. But Urban wanted a big payday. He got it.
Yeah, but what's your gut feel on that? I mean, when you look, he's got 4 of the top 45 picks. He's got 11 total. He's got $100 million in cap space, and he's going to get Trevor Lawrence. I think he's got a great shot in 2 or 3 years to turn that program around, be a playoff team, don't you?
Sure, and I'm for all these guys getting all the money they can. If he can, he's going to.
Me too.
More power to him. It's that's the way this thing works, and he's accomplished all he can in college. Well, I go back there. One more conquest for him.
These owners have it. You can't carry it with you.
Pete Carroll, who had been in the NFL, but he reestablished himself in college and then went back to the NFL. But he had a pretty long run at USC.
Steve Mariucci, kind of. Steve Mariucci won at Cal and then went to the pros.
Yeah, Mariucci too. He'd been a lot of pro in his background before Cal too, and so had Carroll. Had been a pro coach before he went to back to the SC and then the NFL. So there's plenty of examples out there. So maybe it does work for Urban. We'll see.
All right, let's begin with the games because I don't want to run out of time here, and we love the way you always break it down. So let's start with the Rams and the Packers. That's the first game on Saturday. You can hear it on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1. You can hear all the games on our stations this coming weekend. So here we go. You got Jared Goff at Green Bay on the frozen tundra, and Aaron Rodgers is looking on the other side.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to a surgeon guy I know this week, and he was saying, the 2 screws in Goff's thumb. He said that's bad enough, but when you get in really cold weather, he said it's going to be unbearable for him. We'll see how he handles it. I actually think, though, the fact he's compromised a bit works to the Rams' favor, because they're going to have to stick conservative, and that's when they do best. When the Rams have gotten in trouble the last couple of years, I think It's when Goff is thrown 40, 45, 50, even over 60 times in a game. They rarely win those games when he does that. They are much more effective when he's throwing 25 to 30, and they run the ball first. Cam Akers is running really hard. They've got some other guys running the ball pretty well. Green Bay doesn't stuff the run all that well. And I think the Rams are going to try to do what the 49ers did to the Packers last year, is running them. Green Bay's defense has usually been the reason it has exited in the playoffs since their last Super Bowl 10 years ago. Rams also have Jalen Ramsey to stick on Devontae here, so that would be a matchup to watch. He might not be on him every play, but the Ram defense made Seattle look pretty bad last week, and they crumpled the pocket on Wilson. Rodgers better be sharp here. I think the Rams are extremely dangerous here, and we picked them to win it outright, 23-20 up in Lambeau.
Whoa. You have the Rams. This is a 6-1 seeding thing. The Rams, the wrong underdog. You like them in the upset. What's the score?
23-20. I wouldn't favor it. The point spread's where it should be here. I just think this time, it doesn't always land on the point spread, the score. I think the Rams can go up there and win.
Wow.
So that's just the under. That's just under 45.5, and Rams is a healthy plus 260 again for the money line. That would be a good money line wager. Second game on Saturday, 7:15 NBC. The dulcet tones of Al Michaels calling the action between the Bills and the Ravens.
Yeah, and Baltimore, Lamar Jackson really got over a hump last week. He hadn't won a bowl or a playoff game in 4 tries in Louisville and Ravens, and he finally got one last week. Baltimore slayed more Dragons coming from behind, 10 points behind or more. They had lost 21 straight. They scratched that last week, too. Defense played spectacularly well. And I think they've got a shot here if the defense plays like it did last week. It's all with Lamar, a play or two in the game, if he can escape from the pocket and beat you with his legs like he did in that 50-yard TD run, which really turned that game around last week. The Bills have to be wary of that. Now, Buffalo, of course, got a monkey off its back, too. I mean, they won a playoff game for the first time in 25 years last week. So that was but it was a nervous win. And I think they probably should have lost that game. And their defense just really was on the ropes the entire game. They haven't been quite as good defensively this year. Part of it is the enhanced pace because Allen and that offense with Diggs now so well. But I don't know. I think Baltimore is coming in here very hot and very dangerous, and I'm just not sure Buffalo's ready to take that next step. 26-21 Ravens. So we're calling another upset here.
Wow. 26-21.
Bruce, look at you.
All the upsets, man.
Marshall to go.
Man, well, and what's crazy is you said the wild card run was just an underdog sort of situation. I don't know if you backed it up after that, but you certainly said it. Now you're doing the same thing. Don't tell me you got Cleveland, because there's a lot of points here. Chiefs at home are giving away 10 points to the
and
Browns.
So far you've picked 2 unders as well.
Yeah.
You hadn't gone over and under yet.
Not to win this one for Cleveland, but to cover it. We had a 32-29 Chiefs, so a little bit on the over. But I think Cleveland is extremely dangerous right now. They're playing loose. Baker Mayfield, the lights really went on for him about midway through this season. And credit Stefanski for that. And he will be back on the sideline this week. But Baker's last 10 games, 1 pick, 14 TD passes. He's not making mistakes. And that was really what was hurting the Browns before. Now they have sort of pivoted their whole offense to the ground game. And, Chubb and Kareem Hunt coming back to his old team have a chance to do some business this week. I maintain the Chiefs are going to have to play better than they looked almost every week this season, except week 3 against Baltimore, that Monday night, September 28th. They put 60 good minutes together. Even that blowout game in Denver was fluky. The offense didn't do much. Kickoff return, pick 6. They have not covered the point spread 8 straight weeks. Average win margin 3.7 per game in the first 7 of those games. Then they subbed freely and lost that game to the Chargers. I just don't think they've put 60 good minutes together at all this year, maybe just once.
So let me get that right. You got this 32-29, so you like the over on this.
Yeah, and remember the last 3 KC home games, Carolina, Denver, Atlanta, all could have won there. They all covered easily. So I think you can make a case for the Browns against the Chiefs, who have failed to cover 8 straight games.
Wow, Bruce, I'm blown away. You picked 2 dogs straight up. You like all 3 dogs so far. 2 unders narrowly, 1 over pretty comfortably. It leads to the big one. Two proud Big Ten players, 2 Big Ten quarterbacks. TB12 against DB9, Buck Saints.
Yeah, might as well be 1999, Purdue and Michigan. So here we are in 2020, Saints and Bucks. We're going to go with the favorite here. We will take the Saints. A little bit to the over. They beat the Bucks twice this season. Doesn't automatically mean they'll do it a third time, although history in the playoffs suggests that the team that won the first 2 is usually a pretty good bet to win the third game as well, 14-7 in playoff history. So it's happened before where it's favored the teams that have won. The second meeting was really something here, 38-3, jumped all over the Bucks early. The Saints won both games. They picked off Brady 5 times in the 2 games. Janoris Jenkins took a pick 6 back in game 1. I would scratch game 1. Yeah, because it was so long ago. And Tampa Bay's been a work in progress all year. They've had to plug in Fournette and Antonio Brown. And they're a little different team right now. They were struggling with Washington last week. And I think the Saints defense is good enough to make more plays and win and propel the Saints on. You've got Kamara and Thomas back. Breeze is well beyond his they weren't super sharp last week, but good enough. And I think this is the Saints getting even this year. They'll beat Brady this week. They can beat the Rams, exercise the demons of the 2 years ago in the NFC title game, and then get to the Super Bowl where they should have been at least a couple times the last 3 years. That's my prediction right now, Saints in this one.
All right, so we got the 1 favorite in the Saints, then the underdogs. The Rams straight up, the Ravens straight up. Cleveland will cover in 32-29 your final, so the over in the Cleveland-Kansas City game. Always a wonderful time chatting with you, always insightful, and how do we get more?
Thanks, Dave. Check us out online, goldsheet.com. Now, we got our season-end reviews of these NFL non-playoff games, usually a pretty good read. It's up there right now, and some notes for division round. Next Monday, we'll have our conference championship game, some more division season-ending reviews. Also, every day, Gold Sheet basketball, updated each day. Very well received thus far. New format, looks good. Goldsheet.com, my picks there. Also, VegasInsider.donbest.com.
All right, since you're the crystal ball guy, just tell me this. You don't even have to tell me the winner. Will Memphis play Tulsa on Sunday?
50-50. And yes, I'll say they'll win. Okay.
Oh, wow. We love that. Thank you, Bruce.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce.
Take
Have
care.
a good one. Good luck.
Have a great weekend. That is Bruce Marshall. We are late for a quick timeout. Back in just a minute to put a wrap on this very first hour on this Friday of Sports Time on Sports 56.
Catch all the NFL playoff action all the way through to the Super Bowl right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 98.5.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, Dave Woloshin here. I want to talk to you about my good friends at PrestoShutters.com. They're open right now, and prices don't get any cheaper for window replacement, window treatments, exterior shutters, inside plantation shutters, roller shades, blinds, whatever window fashion you need, they've got. Amazing deep discounts, including installation. Everything you need is American-made. Visit PrestoShutters.com or call them at 901-244-7484. That's 901-244-7484.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Well, the Tiger football team just got some good news. I didn't even think he was considering it, but Calvin Austin just wrote a tweet saying it was a great year, and after much thought and prayer with his family, he had a big decision to make. Come back or go to the NFL. And he made the decision to come back, which is a good decision because I think there is still some work to do there.
Yeah, Dave, for next year, it may play out over 3 and 4 years, some recruit that Ryan Silverfield will sign. But for the football season 2021, he's not signing any recruits that will have a bigger impact than Calvin Austin next year.
No, I don't think so. I mean, this kid is terrific, and I suspect Taj Washington also will be a guy that we will be hearing a lot about and seeing because I think he's got the potential to really be super. This just in, Arthur Smith is officially now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He really was.
Falcons.
So I get this sense. No, I could be wrong, Brett. I get this sense.
That's going to be my NFC team. My Falcons in the NFC, my Jags in the AFC.
All right. Well, I had this thing. I think he was on the edge. He was sort of wavering, didn't know whether it was going to be Atlanta or whether it was going to be Philly. And he heard the open to our show, and we said we think Atlanta was the better place. Arthur Blank's the man to work for. What do you think?
Yeah.
He made that decision just now
that was
after
the final
listening
calculation,
to us.
Dave.
Beautiful decision, Arthur.
I have no doubt about it. Now, Arthur, if you really want to listen to us, Dave, play-by-play, me, your sideline guy.
There you go.
No, congratulations. I'm pulling like I'll get out for him. Just a super young coach that I think is going to place. Look, this weekend, make Jason's Deli a part of the weekend at any time, whether it's dinner tonight, during the day tomorrow watching the games, dinner tomorrow night, Sunday watching the Tigers, Sunday watching all the ball games, everything safe, everything contactless, everything delivered out to you, to the car, and catering still anytime, anywhere if you needed all that great food, all the salads, all the meats, the cheese, the breads, the spreads, all the soups on a cold day like Dave has mentioned today. Doesn't the tomato basil sound good or the fire roasted tortilla? Any of that food, get it for Sunday lunch. Get the soups for Sunday lunch. Get it for any time of the weekend. All the associates at Jason's Deli, they'll all be watching the games. They'll be owning all the locations at Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Everything's safe in the restaurant. They have to be. They have been. They will be until we get our lives back. But until then, this is what we have to do, and they can do it so well at Jason's Deli. They're all about choice anytime, whether it's a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, the great salad bar, over 30 items to choose from. Now they prepare it for you. Used to, you could just put everything in there. Now they'll do it for you however you want it. Again, in all the locations, Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Wrap it all up with the complimentary ice cream. That's even safe with the gloves and everything to be safe there. And always check them out online at jasonsdeli.com.
Last thing, before we take the time out, we bring our friend Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal in to talk some Tiger hoops, which we hope will happen on Sunday. This is the strangest story. Now, we never know big-time guys, right? We think we might know what they are or who they are, but you really never get to know for sure, especially if they're foreign players, especially if they're from South America. Angel Cabrera was arrested yesterday in Brazil.
Unreal, isn't it?
He is awaiting
Dateline Sao Paulo.
He is awaiting extradition to Argentina. He won a couple of majors, including a U.S. Open and a Masters. He is facing 5 years' worth of charges revolving around abuse, mainly domestic abuse and violence. Apparently, officials in Argentina have charged him with assault, theft, illegal intimidation, and repeated disrespect to authorities, whatever that means. I don't really know for sure.
Doesn't read well.
But it does not sound good
Does
for
not read well.
Cabrera, who seemed like the most easygoing dude in the world, didn't he?
Really did. Win a Masters and win a U.S. Open at Oakmont. That almost counts double.
Ooh, I agree. And that is 1 hour in the books. When we come back, we'll chat with our friend Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal. He's right around the corner.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Attention foodies, there's a great new place to eat in a great restored building. South Hall Cafe is now open for breakfast, brunch, and lunch in the former Tobacco Corner. Chef Jesus Ramon is creating classics from scratch with a twist. Enjoy all your favorites, including the best cheese grits in the South, a full bar, an in-house pastry chef, catering, online ordering for curbside or delivery, and a covered patio with live music on the weekends. We're open 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays and 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on weekends. South Hall Cafe, corner of Poplar and Mendenhall.
The winter collection sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Your one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. This great winter collection sales event has super special financing offers featuring the flagship LS500 and Lexus named the #1 certified pre-owned program in the industry for the 4th straight year by U.S. News and World Report. The winter collection sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on this Friday, the weekend almost here. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Big news, Arthur Smith, the Memphian, now the head football coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He interviewed with Detroit, with the Jets, with the Eagles, Jaguars, and Falcons. 5 teams were interested in the services of Arthur Smith, and he's come to terms with the former Titans OC, and they had a pretty good year. Their offenses the last couple of years with Arthur as their leader were outstanding, and I've got the feeling things will go swimmingly well for him in Atlanta. We mentioned earlier he's got a great quarterback. Although they struggled this year, they were 4-12. They fired their coach. They fired their GM. They had an interim guy, and now it'll be up to Arthur to take it over. They do get a fresh start. It'll be really interesting to see, and we look forward to
He likes to throw deep.
That. Yep.
He likes to throw deep to A.J. Brown, and you got one you can throw deep to, Julio Jones with the Falcons.
He sure can. Boy, those Alabama receivers are everywhere, aren't they? They're awfully good. Of course, you mentioned Brown. The Ole Miss Rebels have a couple of guys out there between Metcalf and Brown. They look like
another one
Adonis
there.
guys.
Elijah Moore is going to be a great slot guy in the NFL.
Yeah, he's a little different than those two. He doesn't have quite that body, but he's going to be really good. I agree with you for sure. And you just heard the news that Calvin Austin is going to come back to school. I did not realize until he tweeted that out that it was even an option, that he was thinking about leaving, but he said that it was, and thank goodness he will be back. The Tigers are going to have some great wide receivers. Tigers are going to play basketball here on Sunday. We think at this moment they will be playing in Tulsa. They won't leave until tomorrow, and then the game is a 2 o'clock game on Sunday afternoon. Jason Munz, who has just insight into everything, and I want to talk to him a little bit about the IARP story that he wrote this week and how long that investigation may take place and when we might know something. But let's just start with the crystal ball of the great Jason Munz. Will there be a game on Sunday, Jason?
How are we doing today on this Friday, guys?
We're doing great.
Really good.
Good.
We need Tiger basketball, though.
Well, I don't know if you can tell it, but I'm smiling because all signs point to yes. It is still not obviously in the bag. Anything can happen with COVID, but I've had a couple of conversations with people around the program who they seem to, they're optimistic. They've not been given any reason to doubt that there will be a game on Sunday, so they are all systems go, full steam ahead. They'll leave, I think, sometime shortly after noon tomorrow to make their way up to Tulsa. And I think they feel better. They feel like the game is, the status of the game Sunday is in pretty good shape.
Well, just to be on the safe side, I am going to call Bruce Howard, who is their longtime play-by-play guy. Before I delve into my charts tomorrow and do all that work, which I've been burned a couple of times already in the last few months, I am going to call him to see if he says we're playing. I'm going for it. I hope that is the case. What do you think these practices have done to this team? I mean, I'm sure they embraced it in the beginning, but when you haven't played in 3 weeks and you're going over the same stuff over and over and over again, now it is good for reps and muscle memory and things of that nature, but mentally this has got to be tough on this team.
Yeah, I don't see how it couldn't be. It's by the time Sunday rolls around, it's going to be right at 3 weeks, 3 full weeks since the last time they played a game. And I looked it up. The last time Memphis had a longer in-season layoff was the 1947-48 season, the great 1947-48 season where the Tigers went 13-10. It was between their second game of the season and their third game of the season. They played at home against Austin Peay College and won, and then I forget, it was like 26 days or something. 26 days later, they played Austin Peay College on the road and lost. So,
just a little sidebar. Drew Barrett did that research for us a little earlier in the week. There was another break. Was it 24, 25, something like that, where there was a 24-day
19,
interruption?
24, 25,
yeah,
Jason.
Yeah. 19, 24, 25, there was a 24-day break. Yours was what, a 20-day break, the one that you just mentioned?
Yeah, something like that. I can't see, because, again, basketball seasons aren't supposed to work like that. You're not supposed to have long, you might get a week or so. something like that. But to have almost 3 full weeks of no game activity, I can't see how it wouldn't wear on, at the very least, the psyche. But these kids are resilient, so we'll see what happens.
Jason, what do you need to see early Sunday? I'm not talking about the first possession, but some flow of the game get rolling that you go, okay, the line is growling. It's working. I see some adaptability. I see some good things here. What is it you'll be watching for early in that game, or maybe over the course of the game? And of course, I'm not talking about before the first TV timeout.
Right. Points and not so. And I mean that's kind of a broad term, broad answer. So I'll try to narrow it down a little bit. I just, in order for this team to do anything, to have any sort of shot at getting where it wants to be, it has to stop missing layups. It has to start shooting better from three. And early in games, you don't see too many free throws, so we'll save that for later. But I think what I have to see in order to feel better about this team compared to the last time I saw them is, and we've talked about this, is just they've got to stop missing so many layups and 3-pointers. I mean, if you don't score as many points, if you're still not putting a ton of points on the board, I think that's fine, as long as it's not the result of missing shots. If you're being more selective, I just, what it boils down to is higher percentages. I need to see better shooting percentages pretty much across the board, and then I'll feel like, okay, maybe this layoff was productive.
I'm not saying they should not have changed the offense, because clearly we didn't see movement. We didn't see the ball moving either, but they were getting some good shots. When you miss all those layups, and let's be honest, the Lions offense, the Lions set offense, we've only seen it in the one game, the USF game. And so all those others where you talked about the percentages of layups being as low as it is, that came. You got good looks. If you're getting the ball inside like that, that's a good look. I don't know how you missed those. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I am starting to wonder about is, with all these, going from one offense to another, going from one scheme to another as the season goes along. I mean, I just start to wonder, is Penny Hardaway, is Memphis being a little bit too reactionary to, one or two tough games? Should they be so quick to, make changes like that? And I mean, like, these aren't just minor changes. It doesn't sound like, when you've got the head coach coming out saying we changed the offense, that seems like a pretty significant change. So I would hope, and he hasn't said that he hasn't said that because they only scored 56 points or 58 points or whatever it was against South Florida in the first game using the new Lions set. He hasn't said that, he's thought about making any more changes, drastic changes, but I hope so. I hope he hasn't, because I think, it may be short term. It may, it takes some time to see results. But I think the more you change things, like the way they seem to have been doing this season, the worse it is in the long play. So, that's one thing I'm going to be paying attention to is if they go back out against Tulsa and struggle to put up points, is Penny going to say, we're going to stick with this, or is he going to say, time to go back to the drawing board?
I don't know if you two trips to the drawing board in season seems like a little much, Jason. What about defensively? Any more zone?
I think whatever they've been doing is working, and you're talking about Memphis on defense.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're very confident in what they've been doing, and the numbers show that they should be. They're ranked very highly in a lot of defensive categories. So I don't see any. I can't see them doing anything major to the defense, or having done anything major to the defense over these last 3 weeks, other than, I think they probably just repped it more. And Penny has said a couple of times in interviews that he's, added a couple of more looks, a couple of more options to on traps and on presses and things like that. But I just don't get the sense that they're going to make any significant, systematic changes to the defense at this stage.
Well, that's not the issue. And he did put in a couple of different zones and a couple of different traps for pressure during the time off they had when they put in the Lions set offense. And those seemed to work. I mean, I think we were all surprised when we found out at the Western Kentucky game they didn't have a zone at that time, or they probably would have used that against Bassey, which would have been a lot more effective, I think, than the way they ended up playing it. So I think he's evolving too. I'm going to go back to that offense for a second. If indeed it is slow to produce, and I'm not sure Tulsa is a great test because you're playing against a weird defense that not everybody plays. But I don't think I would say we're revamping the offense. I think if anybody ever asks, if they do make some changes, you say, well, we put a few new wrinkles in. But I don't think you're going to go and say, look, for the third time this year, we're revamping the offense, because that's not going to get you anywhere. And I think that would lead people to lose a little confidence. I would stay with this line. That's how I would call it. And if it did really well, you know what I would do? I would get a hold. I think it's the Beach Boys that wrote the song, "In the Jungle, the Mighty Jungle, the Lion Roars Tonight." And I just play that. And I'd say, look, it's working.
Yeah, that's
Casey Kasem, 1964, Jason, if you're scoring at home.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle.
What was it, the Beach Boys, Dave?
I think it was.
I thought it was Bobby Darin.
I just looked it up.
You guys got
me.
Tokens.
It's the Tokens. Wow.
Released in 1961.
I tell you, you couldn't smoke enough dope to listen to the Tokens.
I can tell you this, though. I've got a 2-minute 40 version by the Beach Boys from Google.
You really,
but it does,
Dave?
yes, but it does say that the Tokens wrote it.
Okay.
I never knew the Beach Boys did anything they didn't write.
We digress, Jason.
Well, I was gonna go down this rabbit hole. Did Robert John? I think maybe he recorded a version of it as well.
That sounds right.
Dr. John?
That sounds right.
Robert John was Dr. John, wasn't he?
There's a Lion King. There's a Lion King version too.
Wow.
Well, we could. This is informative.
Yeah.
I wonder what was on the other side of the 45.
Probably just the instrumental version.
So the song has been adapted. Listen to this. This song has been adapted and covered internationally by groups including in the 50s and 60s, Henry Salvador, who I never heard of, the Weavers, Jimmy Dorsa, Ima Sumac, Miriam Makeba, and the Kingston Trio.
I've heard of the Kingston Trio. None of the others,
Me too.
though. Well, I would go back to your point about Tulsa. Yeah, I don't think that you can, whether it's Tulsa or not, whether if it doesn't produce 75 or more points on Sunday, I agree with you. You got to stick with it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is at this stage of the season, you got to stick with it. But especially against Tulsa, because in your last 4 halves of basketball against this Frank Haith team, you've scored 89 points. So, that might not be the best litmus test.
Well, this will be a good test Sunday, and Tulsa needs it after getting walloped by Wichita State. And Wichita State's been one of the teams with a lot of frequency of play. Playing matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't have this 100% confirmed, but I think every team in the conference, with the exception of Memphis and Wichita State, have had at least one game affected on the schedule this season by COVID-19 testing and protocols, where it was that program, who had the positive.
In other words, they have not had any contact tracing, asymptomatic. There's been nothing from their side. They're the only two schools in the American that have not had that. And, of course, they've been affected because the Tigers have lost 3 games thus far.
They're dominant.
And Wichita State, I know, has just lost the SMU game, right? They lost Sunday's game already.
Yeah, I think Wichita had some positive tests before the season, but I'm not 100% positive. I don't think they've had any in season, and I think that that's Memphis and Wichita State, who are the only two that have not had any games affected where it was, for lack of a better term, their fault. So they've played quite a bit, and that does matter.
This week, Penny Hardaway revealed some news that he had been interviewed and that all of the University of Memphis folks that might have been involved were interviewed by the IARP group that is investigating the James Wiseman situation for the NCAA. I was very impressed that you actually got a quote from somebody from the NCAA. That really made you my hero. So give me your sense, Jason, of what you think is coming out of this and how long it might take before there's some resolution.
Yes, I interviewed Penny. I was interviewing Penny one-on-one for something else, a completely different story, and this just kind of came up. He started talking about the IARP, and he mentioned that that he was just very happy that the interview portion of the ordeal had been completed, and he said it was within the last 60 to 90 days that was done. And then I followed up with the NCAA's vice president on hearing operations. Her name is Naima Stevenson Starks, and she, kind of just laid it out for me as best she could. They can't go into specifics, or won't go into specifics, I should say, when they won't talk schools or players or coaches or people's names or anything like that. And certainly along with that is timeframes. But she did say that, it's a little bit different with the IARP process, that, it's different from the peer review process, the normal traditional way the NCAA handles it with the Committee on Infractions, that, there are very set and rigid deadlines and timelines for everything. You've got the 90 days where, once a notice of allegations is sent, it takes, a school has 90 days to respond, and then once they do, the NCAA has 60 days to respond, and then there's another 60 days for the school to respond to that. So, I asked her, I was like, what, is it similar? And she goes, well, yes, it's similar, but it's not necessarily, it could be shorter, and it could be, 30 days, or it could be 45 days. It's up to the independent arbiters and mediators to come up with that as part of what she called the case management plan. And so it's all.
We don't even know if we're at that part, right? I mean, Memphis, first of all, I don't believe has ever gotten any notice of allegations, right?
I believe that is true.
So
and you don't want one either.
No, absolutely, you don't want one. But they have not. Others that the IARP
have
are dealing with, like LSU, they have gotten
NC State.
They have gotten notice of allegations. None to this school yet. Secondly, we know Memphis, because of Penny told us, we know that they've completed the university side of interviews, but have they completed all the other interviews, like the Wiseman family and anybody else that might have been involved in this?
So Penny couldn't say, and neither could the NCAA. So we don't know. It's possible that yes, some people on the Wiseman side of things, some people even on the NCAA side of things. Maybe maybe the IARP has to go back to people who initially were involved in this process to begin with on the NCAA side and interview them. We don't know whether, just because they're done interviewing Penny and whoever else they're interviewing that's currently employed by the University of Memphis, that doesn't necessarily mean that the interview process is completely over. It just means that he's done, that from the Memphis standpoint, that they don't have any more interviews to go. Now, the other interesting thing is that I asked the NCAA person, does that mean when the interview process is complete, does that mean that the investigation portion is over? And she said yes. She said once they're done with all their interviews, then that means the investigation has concluded and the clock starts on whether, for the complex case unit, the group that's assigned to investigate the case, their clock starts for coming up with a notice of allegations or not.
Jason, how would you best describe Coach Hardaway's temperament, mood, comportment with everything?
I mean, he, at least when we were talking about, the little bit of specifics that we did discuss earlier this week, he seemed relieved. I mean, he was like, kind of like, thank goodness that process is over. He said that it was all done virtually, and the fact that he said it wrapped up within the last 60 to 90 days tells me that it was either finished in the weeks leading up to the season, or possibly I say 60 to 90 days. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean 30 to 45 days. He said it's been about a month and a half since it wrapped up. So that puts the time frame. These interviews, it sounds like, were going on as the team was preparing to start the season, or potentially, if it was a month ago, then that means these interviews were taking place during the season. So that's, I'm sure, a huge weight lifted off his shoulders to finally be able to not have to worry about that. There obviously is still something to pay attention to. I mean, it's still sort of hanging out there over your head until it's completely over with. It's still hanging out there,
but it's not decisive either. I can go both ways. You could say it could be used against them in recruiting. They're going to go, hey, well, they're not going to play in the NCAA. But then you could say, well, that we don't know that. We don't think that's going to be the case, and there is nothing decisive. And here's my question. You don't have the answer. I'm speaking out loud when I say this, but there's 2 or 3 schools that the IARP are doing their thing with that have had notices of allegations, even though if we look at the chronology of this, it appears to me Memphis was the first case. But does that mean Memphis will be the first decision? Or those that have already gotten notice of allegations, will they take priority, and will their decision be made by this group before the Memphis case? If that's the case, this could go on until next year.
Yeah, I would. It'd be easier to answer if there had been some sort of precedent set. Like if this process had gone from beginning to end at some time before now, and there was a little bit of a precedent to look back on and say, well, that's how long that one took. Maybe, but yeah, no. I mean, like the investigation, the NCAA's investigation was farther along with the other schools than it was with Memphis, although Memphis was the first one into this process. So it will be interesting to see how the timing plays out. I think just kind of reading between the lines and listening to different parts of the interview with the NCAA vice president of hearing operations that I spoke to, I just get the sense that a final resolution isn't going to come before the start of next season. I feel like that's probably what we're looking at here, and COVID has something to do with that. I mean, we are coming up on a year since Memphis's case. It went to the IARP on March 4th of last year, so it's almost a year. But COVID, the whole coronavirus, has something to do with the extended timeline, I think. But at the same time, I just can't see this getting wrapped up within the next. So I don't think it's going to be as simple as saying like over the summer or late spring or anything like that. I think it's going to drag out possibly into like mid-fall.
Wow. All right. Are you going to Tulsa, or will you be doing it remotely like the radio crew?
The driving distance, the games where you can get there in under 6 hours.
Yeah.
If you drive, those have been deemed okay. So I will be. It's like 6 hours and 5 minutes from my house. So I will be starting bright and early in the morning, and as long as nothing changes between now and then, I'll be there.
All right. I hope you get something
Be
to watch.
safe.
That is for sure. Be
Driving
safe.
in every other way.
And we shall chat with you again next Friday. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
That is Jason
Thank you,
Munz
Jason.
from the Commercial Appeal. This hour of the program is presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai and, of course, Genesis of Olive Branch in the same building. Oh, the guy that runs the whole thing is Chris True, and they've raised the bar. They keep doing it over and over and over again. It starts with the product. Every Hyundai, every Genesis gets a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And, of course, they really do want to take care of you. So every new car, every Hyundai, every Genesis car, they all get a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on the house. They'll take care of your car for those first 3 years. You don't pay a penny. They're doing the maintenance for you. And then, just to show you how they're getting recognized, there are 355 Genesis dealers in the country. The Genesis of Olive Branch Group is in the top 50 in the country, even though it's a smaller market when it comes to their entire formula, which includes sales. This is in the top 50. In their region, they're top 10. In their district, they're number 2. Number 2, they want to be number 1, which means there's going to be greater service for you and greater availability of automobiles. If you're looking to see about that new SUV, the GV80, they can't keep them on the lot, but they have a demo. They'll bring it out to you. Call Vinny Gerard, 662-890-6684. That's his direct number. Or call the dealership. They'll actually take it out for you to take a look at and test drive. They keep getting better all the time at Genesis of Olive Branch and Homer Skelton Hyundai. Back in just 1 minute, and when we return, we will rank the 8 quarterbacks that will be putting it on the line this coming weekend in the National Football League playoffs. That's next.
You have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hey, Dave Woloshin here. I want to talk to you about my good friends at PrestoShutters.com. They're open right now, and prices don't get any cheaper for window replacement, window treatments, exterior shutters, inside plantation shutters, roller shades, blinds, whatever window fashion you need, they've got. Amazing deep discounts, including installation. Everything you need is American-made. Visit PrestoShutters.com or call them at 901-244-7484. That's 901-244-7484. I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
First Bank is here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, or wanting a competitive rate on your CD deposits. Let First Bank try to handle your banking needs. Stop into one of First Bank's 3 local branches today, 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or check them out online at firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Halfway home, and we mentioned earlier the Grizzlies will play tonight. John Morant may play in Minneapolis against the Timberwolves. Grizzlies on a 3-game winning streak, but there's some really sad news tonight, and I will confess to you, I do not know this gentleman, but apparently he was well loved. His name is Michael Edwards, but he was known around the Grizzlies family, I believe, as Speedy. He was involved in operations for the team, and apparently at way too young an age, he passed away today. I think he passed away from complications of COVID. So our condolences to Speedy's family and to all of the Grizzlies family that are hurting tonight. Pete Pranica was the one that has tweeted the news out, and
I've seen Rob has as well. And
just so sorry. But
Fox Sports
he looks like a young guy too. I don't have his age, but
he really does. Did video replay and some video packages as well, and very sad for Michael Edwards and those he leaves behind, and it seems immense just in the Grizzlies world, and then there's always a layer and a world that we may not know about, back to high school and early adult age friends, and this virus is not playing.
I agree. I will say this to you. A gentleman was telling me about a friend of his son who is young, in his late 20s, early 30s, who had COVID this past summer and now has some cardiac issues that he thinks is related to it. So there's a lot of stuff we still don't know. Best advice, put the mask on, keep your distancing. Until you get vaccinated, treat it like it is a killer.
Like the plague. Like it is, Dave, a brutal killer. And if by any chance you know you have it and you are symptomatic, please stay at home and quarantine.
Bingo.
Do everybody else a favor, and you know I'm approaching the end of my quarantine from my being around David Kellum. David's fine. David's going to get back to work.
Is
hale and hearty.
Is he doing the Ole Miss Georgia game tomorrow, or is that Eli on the call again?
I think Eli's still on it because it hadn't been a full 2 weeks.
Okay.
He tested the first Monday of the new year, which was Monday the 4th. So I think he's got a little more time in the quarantine penalty box, and I say that trying to be jestful when I shouldn't be, because it is most serious.
Right. Well,
Dave, to anybody,
we should point out
I don't think I ever did this, but to anybody that is still holding out, well, I don't know anybody that's had it. Give it a little time.
No.
You will.
And we should point out, since we brought up David Kellum by name, David is good. He was pretty much asymptomatic, if I recall, right? Or did he? No, he had symptoms. I'm sorry.
Had a little body ache and a lower grade fever. It wasn't raging symptoms, but enough to, hey, I think I got this junk.
Yep.
And sure enough, he and Mary did, and he immediately fanned out to everyone, look, not the way we want to start the first Monday of the new year, but be careful, And I and others around him, nobody else had its tentacles into, but the tentacles are real, and you just can't be too careful. I mean, until I have both rounds of the vaccine go in me, I'm going to be way off the grid, except for 3 to 6 high above Rose Lane and Broadway.
Yesterday.
Now
yeah.
with that, Dave, I don't want to scare anybody. I'm going to long plan to be out Monday and Tuesday. So if you don't hear me on Monday and Tuesday, that's why. But we're going to be straight with you. If it hit one of us, we would let you know.
Well,
we would let the audience know.
I mean, both Drew and myself had to get tested earlier, and we both stayed home and I know I did the show from
we were up front
home
with everybody.
Yeah, and that's the way you've got to be in this situation. All right. Yesterday we rated just sort of spontaneously, we did a rating of each team, or we would reseed and gave them a number, and that sparked your interest.
It was inspiration.
Us to do the same thing for the quarterback. So how do you want to start this thing? You want me to go first? You want me to give you a whole list? How do you want me to do it?
However you want to do it, Dave. You blow right through it if you want to.
All right, so I will. I'm going to go from 8 to 1. Keep the drama for the end. I think the number 8 quarterback.
Drum roll, please, Drew.
And let's face it, these are all great quarterbacks. So
they are very distinguished.
And that is one of the
got 2 Heisman Trophy winners in here.
One of the ingredients of being a great team, a team capable of making a run in the playoffs, has to be a quarterback. It really does, and I think that's proof that. Now I know our friend Bruce Marshall has picked the Rams in an upset of the number 6 seed over the number 1. I don't, because Jared Goff is not really even their starting quarterback anymore. He is my number 8 pick.
Well, he was going to be until he got hurt.
He was.
And Walford was in there.
Yeah. Walford was in there because Goff got hurt, but when they were both ready to go, Walford had gotten the job. If Walford was healthy, he'd be playing this week.
Probably so.
He was starting last week, and Goff.
So you have Jared Goff 8. Okay.
I have him
I'm
8.
good with that.
Drew will not like this. But Lamar Jackson, for me, is number 7. And part of the reason why, and don't forget, these are great quarterbacks. So I'm not saying he's not a great quarterback, but if we're listing him
want to see a little more
with
playoffs,
all these guys, I want to see more playoffs, and I want to see the guy throw.
Okay.
Because he won that game last week running the football. That was his better weapon, and he's not going to be able to do that all the time.
Looked
or
like
he's not
O.J.
gonna
Simpson
stay
on
healthy.
one run.
He was great. Look, in the odds this week, he's got the 3rd best odds of being the number 1 running back in terms of running yardage this week. I don't think you can advance in the playoffs that way. So he's 7 for me. Drew Brees, believe it or not, as much as I love Drew Brees and as much as he's had Tom Brady's number, I believe he's 5-2 against Tom Brady. Drew Brees is with a great team. They won a bunch of games without him in there, using a tight end really as their quarterback.
Over a couple of years they have. You're right. Last year with Teddy Bridgewater, and this year with a tight end hybrid player.
And he's still a very capable quarterback. So don't get me wrong here. But and we're not grading these guys for their contributions through time.
No,
it's how they are right now. It's their power ranking for the moment. So since Drew Brees can't seem to throw the ball much further than 15 or 20 yards, or at least that's the game plan, I put him there at 6. Baker Mayfield just won the biggest game of his career. I think he should rely more on the running game, not him running, but he's got weapons, and I put him 5. I put Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills at 4. I put Tom Brady at the moment now at 3. Look, he just broke the touchdown record for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he did it at, 41 years of age. Tom Brady is 3. Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers quarterback, is number 2 in my book, and then Patrick Mahomes is, even though Rodgers probably deserved the MVP this year, I wouldn't dispute that, but look at the record and look what Mahomes does. Every week, he's the one guy that can just beat you on his own. He is incredible. He's my number 1 rated quarterback.
We're not far off. I can't wait to hear Drew's list. My list starts, I'll go 8-1. I have Baker Mayfield right now, 8. You had him 5. I had him 8. I want to see a little more playoff shots for him. I have Jared Goff 7. He did lead a team to a Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago, but he has definitely regressed. You and I, total agreement. You nailed it in the summation on Drew Brees. Again, this is not what he's done. He's Mr. Saint all time. There's no question about that. But the last few years, they've been okay to be okay without him. Number 5 for me, and this was hard, especially with that body of work. But again, it's not the Canton resume we're going for. It's right now. It's Tom Brady.
Wow.
I have him as 5. Josh Allen 4. And Dave, you were early on nailing him as a player. 2-star recruit out of the state of California to Wyoming as a high school player. Number 3, Lamar Jackson.
Wow, you got him a lot
Heisman
higher
Trophy
than
winner, MVP last year, and I think he has a big one this weekend. And 2-1's pretty obvious. 2, Aaron Rodgers. 1 right now, Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, let's see where Mr. Barrett has Lamar Jackson.
Well, I'll start from 8 as well. I've got Jared Goff, like you did, Dave, at 8. 7, Baker Mayfield. Exact same reason why Brett just talked about. I also have Drew Brees at 6. I also have Tom Brady at 5.
Wow.
I also have Josh Allen at 4. I also have Lamar Jackson at 3. Aaron Rodgers 2. Patrick Mahomes at 1. So pretty much almost copy-pasted Brett.
We really did. There was not much disunity in this list, a little, but not anything. I guess Lamar Jackson's is still the question mark. Do they get answered this weekend? Does the back-to-back weekends, does that vanquish the ghost of playoff losses past?
I think that would be fair. I do. And some of that will depend on how the way the game unfolds. Is he the reason that Baltimore beats Buffalo? Does he do it with his arm or does he do it with his legs? So some of that will matter. And, frankly, I guess if he keeps winning with his legs, that's still pretty valuable. And that's the way a lot of people perceive it. But I would just tell you, a guy that is a run-first quarterback in the National Football League is not long to live in the National Football League.
No, he's not, and it has to take a lot of hits. And you just wonder, for Josh Allen, how many of those can he do? Or on our First Bank text line, we've got a texter that is stopping by the commissary on his way home. What a smart texter. Everybody within the sound of our voice and with the internet hooked up to our text line, you need to be stopping at either commissary on your way home. The new Collierville commissary, Houston Levy and Poplar, and the heaters are in, just a little bit warmer, and crank those up and we can get outside, or the original in Germantown, and at both places. Memphis-style barbecue. What makes it Memphis-style? Slow. If you're looking, you ain't cooking. You got to go slow. The ribs are delicious, authentic Memphis-style, great food. You can dive into the ribs or the shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big, gigantic sandwich, or you can get it on the plate. Start everything with appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos. We know where they were invented in the early 80s in Germantown at the original commissary. That's where barbecue nachos started. Don't let anybody tell you any differently, because we know it all comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can even order it by the pound, a 6-pack or a 8-pack or a 12-pack. Doesn't that sound good for football watching and Tiger basketball watching and Grizzlies watching this weekend? All of it so good. And wrap it up with the desserts. Dave loves a banana pudding. I do too. I always sneak over there and get me a big scoop of that, and he gets a bite or two of the lemon icebox pie every time we go, and you should as well. 754-5540 or online at commissarybarbecue.com. everything safe, everything delivered to you to your car, everything contactless, everything safe inside either restaurant. Walker Taylor appreciates y'all so much. Y'all, the very important customer, the most important people that swing through those doors. That's the customer. Walker and his staff, they know it. They've done it the right way at the Collierville Commissary, Houston Levee, and Poplar are the original in Germantown.
And can I make a suggestion? If indeed you stop off and you go at either place, whether you're going to go to the curbside in Germantown or you're going to do the drive-through or curbside even in Collierville where you pick it up, stop by a spirit shop of some kind and go check out the Tiger Tail crafted malt liquor from Grind City Brewing. Ribs and beer. You know, I've heard those go together, Brett.
Yeah,
they
kind of have.
Really do. And Grind City Brewing is a great story. It's the stream of a father and a son doing. They've made it happen. They have this incredible brewery. It sits above the city in uptown Memphis, 15,000 square feet of beerness, including a 5,000 square foot tap room. The grounds are gorgeous. There's going to be all kinds of concerts and everything once we're all allowed to do that. And they're really committed. The father and the son's the brewmaster. They're committed to everything Memphis, and they wanted to have some sort of connection with the University of Memphis. And so they have crafted this unbelievable malt liquor. And it's not like any malt liquor you've ever heard of. They've crafted it, and they thought it was perfect to be Tiger Tail. It comes in 16-ounce six-packs. It is not your typical malt liquor, as I like to say. It is crafted with a bold and smooth flavor, has 7.5% alcohol, if you get my drift, and it's got a clean finish, which makes it an incredible, easy drink. There's not a bite, but you know it's a really well-crafted beer. Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing. They are taking care of beerness in Memphis. We'll take a quick time out. We are back to put a wrap on this second hour on this Friday of Sports Time on Sports 56.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, I started the first micro distillery in the state of Texas with my dog, Dog Joe, at my side. We're still working with dogs out at the distillery after all these years. Learn more about how dogs are a part of life here at Tito's Handmade Vodka at vodkafordogpeople.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka is made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Attention foodies, there's a great new place to eat in a great restored building. South Hall Cafe is now open for breakfast, brunch, and lunch in the former Tobacco Corner. Chef Jesus Ramon is creating classics from scratch with a twist. Enjoy all your favorites, including the best cheese grits in the South, a full bar, an in-house pastry chef, catering, online ordering for curbside or delivery, and a covered patio with live music on the weekends. We're open 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays and 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on weekends. South Hall Cafe, corner of Poplar and Mendenhall.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Final segment, hour number 2, and this is a good story that is breaking right now. I don't know if you've
I need it. Give it to
this, okay? So many people have worried for the last few years, the Grizzlies are going to leave, and we talked earlier, if they expand to Seattle and to Vegas, probably don't have to worry a whole lot, but if they didn't, that thing is still there. Well, here's some news that would make you think Robert Parra's not going anywhere. The communications technology firm that is the real source of the Robert Parra wealth.
Yeah, it's the mothership.
It's Ubiquity. They are hoping to open a distribution center in Memphis if local government provides tax incentives. So
Give it to them.
The New York-based company seeks a tax incentive worth $1.8 million in return for establishing a 161,000 square foot distribution center at 6200 Global Drive in southeast Memphis. The operation would create 25 jobs that pay $37,000 on average, and that comes from the application for payment in lieu of taxes or the pilot program. So, the $37,000 pales to what the other employees that he has in this town, but we'll take it. And that would mean he would have another connection to the city of Memphis. Seems to me
we want the route going deeper.
Yeah,
if he had ever let us, we'd love him to death. I promise you. A Ubiquity stock closed today at $247.29, up $4.16. It has gotten as high as about $275 to $280.
But wait. When he first purchased the team,
$7.98.
It was $7.98. So, my gosh, think if you bought 1,000 shares at $7.98, how much money you got?
Many that did.
Wow. Are they still in Memphis?
They are.
They have moved to Aspen.
Well, it's according to how much you bought.
Yeah. Wow. Well.
Dave, last night, the news breaking in St. Louis that this year will be it for Mike Shannon after he turns 82 this summer, and this is the 50th year that he has been associated with the club, and he's going to do about 50 games, almost entirely regular season games. They will be at home if they go to the playoffs like he did last year. He will go on the road, but that this will be it. His birthday is in July. He will turn 82 that day. Or in July, rather, and this year will be it for him. And I could not pay. I don't know what they had charged. If they charged a penny for every minute of enjoyment and entertainment that Mike Shannon has brought me, I'm afraid I could not pay the tab. And there have been so many broadcast teams through the years that he's been with. I've enjoyed him with John Rooney, but with Mike Shannon, with Jack Buck, and with Bob Starr in the late 70s, it was
Bob
radio
Starr.
gold. But let me tell you, a trio: Jack Buck, Mike Shannon, and Joe Buck.
All right.
For a lot of the 90s, that was something else to listen to.
Bob Carpenter was. I don't know if he was ever in the radio mix. He was just TV, wasn't he?
Yeah, but was always in the media mix with those guys and knows them so very well.
Yeah, he was in that mix. So Mike Shannon, I really thought he would, soldier on for a few more years. 82 is young compared to, say, Vin Scully, but it's still 82, his 50th year with the ball club. That is incredible in its own right.
And played for the AAA team in Memphis the summer, the year the ballpark burned in April of 1960, and they had to be vagabonds all year and just find anywhere to play wherever it was.
Man, I wonder who. I guess John Rooney will continue his role. He'll become the number
John
one.
Rooney and Ricky Horton are part of it now, and you just wonder if they'll bring in a third, maybe somebody, maybe like a retired Adam Wainwright,
Maybe so. This portion of the show brought to you by Supercuts. Supercuts, is locally owned here by the Czech family. They got 15 of them. They arrived 30 years ago, and they opened up the first one. They're very serious about what they do. They love their team. They love their employees, which is part of the reason why they are so serious about continuing the Safe Salon Commitment. That is a deal that was put together in partnership with top infectious disease doctors to maximize all the safety you could and the sanitization in all of the Supercut salons around the country. But in the 15 here, they are very, very serious about it. They're still giving haircuts. If you'd like to find the one closest to you or learn more about the Safe Salon Commitment, go to supercuts.com. Still got to look good on those Zoom calls, or maybe you still got to look good for date night some night with a mask on. They're looking at your hair more when you got your face covered. Supercuts will help you out there. Back in a minute, hour number 3, our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, will join us. We'll talk NBA. We'll talk this past trade. We'll talk about Brandon Clark, who's become quite the piece for the Grizzlies, and he's his agent. He is next.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Friday afternoon, heading into the weekend. We talk the NBA next with Andy Schiffman. He's based in Chicago, but always a Memphian. Look, basketball, it's been back, and you know what that means. It's time to fire up the FanDuel Sportsbook app from the opening tip to the final buzzer, and there are so many ways to bet on FanDuel. Easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to place your bet fast during a game if you see a trend breaking the way you like. All the odds boosts and specials every day, and some big super boosts each weekend around the biggest local and national matchups. If you sign up today, FanDuel will let you place your first bet risk-free. That's right. They'll give you up to $1,000 back if you don't win. And when you do win, FanDuel pays you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. You don't have to track down somebody to collect your money. They'll take care of it for you. Just do me a favor. When you download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up with promo code CASH so they know we sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. This final hour of our show brought to you every day by the great people down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience you come to know and love at DeSoto Auto Sales, where there are no high-pressure sales. They know we live in a world today that time really matters, and that's why they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in, find the car you want within 45 minutes, test drive that car, credit approved, deal with your sales rep, and gone after you finish the paperwork in 45 minutes or less. At DeSoto Auto Sales, that town and country experience down in DeSoto County at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience. No high-pressure sales at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We begin hour number 3. We're going to talk some NBA, but a reminder that tomorrow, big day on Sports 56, starting at 10:30, the pregame show. Ole Miss basketball against Georgia. Then the doubleheader. The Rams at the Packers at 3, the Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. That will follow. Then Sunday, the doubleheader starts at 1:30 here on Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1. Browns at the Chiefs, followed by the one I think most people want to see, the two legends, Brady and Breeze, the Bucks at the Saints, and that will follow the Browns at the Chiefs. So we will be busy. Grizzlies play tonight. John Morant could be back. I know Brandon Clark's going to play, that's for sure. He's been a really, really great piece. He's a little slow start to begin the year. I guess he got healthier and healthier, and he has really come into form, which I know pleases his agent. That's Andy Schiffman. So what got it going for BC?
Well, before I get to that, Dave, and I appreciate you guys having me on as always, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The game is actually postponed tonight in Minnesota.
What? When did that happen?
5 minutes ago.
Oh, because we've been looking at everything on Twitter and everything. That's the first time I've seen it. Wow.
Yeah,
thank you, Andy.
There's 3 games tonight that have been postponed: the Washington-Detroit game, and now this Grizzlies-Timberwolves game, and the Phoenix game later tonight. So this is just continuing. It's disappointing, but the league is trying to handle it as best as they can. That's why they issued all these new safety protocols that are going to be going into effect now. But it's definitely a little bit of a trial by fire, so to speak, at this point in the season.
Well, that's stunning. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first Grizzlies cancellation. Well, they are postponed. The Tigers have had 3 already. But this is the first one for the pro team. And I just saw this story today, Andy, where there were several quoted NBA execs saying, you know, we're prepared for some postponements, and I think at that point we knew about the Phoenix game, but we're not considering a shutdown, and I hope that remains the case.
Well, it does. It still remains the case. They're very optimistic, as am I, that the season will continue. Again, I've said this before. You saw this in hockey and baseball and football. You remember the Cardinals from the summer. They didn't play for however long, and they had to go back and make up all these games that were postponed and canceled. And again, they finished their season, and that's the goal here, is to finish the season. It would be ideal if we could have some sort of fan base in these arenas. You've seen this here and there. Some arenas do allow that. I know Memphis does not. Atlanta does, for example. But we just got to finish the season. And so everyone is still hopeful and optimistic that we'll get there, but everyone's definitely holding their breath a little bit, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of Brandon, like you mentioned, Dave, look, he's these last 5 games, he's been locked in. He's playing very confidently. He's stepped up. In terms of what exactly happened, I think he just realized how valuable he has to be for this Grizzlies team with all of the injuries they've sustained and guys going down, and has taken advantage of that opportunity. So it's been exciting to watch. Obviously, they got a great road win in Minnesota a couple nights ago. They are playing very well. They're scoring and defending well at a very high level, and Brandon's really stepped up, and it's just his confidence level now. He knows what is expected of him, and he's going out there and executing.
You broke this story, so I have to ask you this. The game with the Timberwolves and the Grizz is canceled, postponed for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But because of who? Is it the Grizzlies or is it the Timberwolves?
That I do not know. I mean, obviously the Grizzlies are supposed to be playing at home tomorrow against Philadelphia.
Andy, did you get some type of kind of interleague memo heads up on this a little earlier than everyone else? Do they let you know pretty quickly? Just a Twitter machine. I got you.
Yeah, so I spoke with Zach with the Grizzlies last night about something unrelated, and we traded phone calls today, but not about this. But obviously, I can understand why he's not taking calls from agents right now. But yep, just Twitter. Don't have anything special I can offer up. I'd love to sit there and say I'm in the know and have access to such confidential information.
Well, I'm checking Twitter as we speak, and
fact check me.
I am not.
You're right on. You were right on.
Yeah.
It's disappointing news to be breaking, that's for sure. Because I was looking forward to watching tonight, and we've got a lot of guys who are sitting out. I mean, the Wizards are extremely, extremely depleted right now. Bradley Beal's out there leading the NBA in scoring, setting the league on
it's
fire.
Minnesota. Contact tracing.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Well, that is good news, because the game tomorrow and hopefully the one on Monday against Phoenix for MLK, those really games could still be on if it's Minnesota and not the Grizzlies. So
correct.
Yeah, that really is obviously good news. Whew, crazy. Yeah, that's we aren't all vaccinated yet, and
when will it end?
Well, it'll end when we get to 70% or more vaccinations and we get herd immunity.
So that's about 2033 at this point.
No, I don't think. I actually saw Dr. Fauci on the Today Show this morning say he felt that we could actually, and this is the Joe Biden plan, we could 100 million. We could vaccinate when we get this thing really going 100 million people in 100 days. So if that's the case, let us do it. Well,
and after you get vaccinated, if that means you have to volunteer your services, and I sure would do it like at a hub, like at FedEx Forum, or turn the old Mid-South Coliseum into that, or when the weather gets nice outside. If we have to put up a vaccination stand on every street corner, let's do it and get some sleeves rolled up and some pharmacies. People are far anywhere. I mean, almost anywhere. And I do think that President Biden has a good plan, and I think it'll be very coordinated. I saw where the military with branches of the military are going to help. We got to get some momentum, and I think we're going to starting noon Wednesday.
I sure hope so. I hope you're right.
Yeah, we all do. All right, so the big story this week was the trade And that was Harden first pulling his little stunt with this is so broken it can't be fixed, forcing the trade, which he got. And now he's going to be on a team with two other superstars, provided that Kyrie Irving, who hasn't played in 5 games, decides he wants to play. I guess the first thing I'll ask you is, what is your take on Kyrie Irving?
He's in his own world, and he is talented enough that a lot of these teams will put up with this. I know we touched on it last week, and it doesn't really seem like anything's changed in the last 7 days. That's the thing. There's a lot of players that would do this and would immediately be out of the league in a second with no ticket back in anytime soon. Kyrie is an immense talent. I represented players, and our agency has represented players that have played with him. And not to get too into the nuances of what it's like as a teammate of Kyrie, he's an extremely, extremely talented player. And when you're trying to win a championship, if you have to be without him for a time, you do what you can to shore up your roster. And you got KD back now, and you added Harden. So you have, I guess I would say, less reliance on a player like that when he does decide to, quote unquote, just disappear for a handful of days or games, because now you do have James Harden, and then when you add Kyrie back in the mix, one might think it's just that much better and you're going to be that much more successful. I think the jury's still out on how they will perform. Will there be enough basketball to go around between those 3 players? I don't know. And I was watching one of the talk shows, and they made an interesting point. When you saw Miami's big 3 years ago, when they assembled LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, it was pretty evident early on that Chris Bosh was the one sacrificing that spotlight and that star shine and taking a back seat. While he was one of those big 3, he definitely deferred to LeBron and D. Wade. And in this group of KD, Kyrie, and James, I don't think their egos will allow them to defer to one or the other. So it will be very interesting. It's going to be, look, they're obviously having some success this year. They're 7-6. We represent Joe Harris on that team, who's an elite level 3-point shooter. So it will be very interesting to see how the chemistry unfolds here. But it was a steep price that they got for James. Everyone thinks they just hit a home run getting James Harden. And while that might be true, you also gave up 2 cornerstones of your franchise in Karis LeVert, who is an excellent, excellent young talent, and Jared Allen, who is a staple of their front court, who is another young, extremely talented big that they were really excited about for the future. So it's not like a team like Indiana that got Karis LeVert or Cleveland inserted themselves in the deal because they had enough salary cap room where they could take on the salaries of Taurean Prince and Jared Allen. It's not like they didn't win either in all of this. And then you got Houston that was able to get Victor Oladipo, which I think is great for them. It refreshes that roster. I know the players on the Rockets are definitely relieved that this distraction is over. And it's in a sense, it's a win-win-win-win for all 4 teams involved.
Expensive win for a lot of them, but yeah, it does feel like I love what Indiana came out of it with Karis LeVert. Andy, what do you think New York, the Knickerbockers, the Knicks are thinking? They're having an okay start. They're totally starting all over. It's been blown up a couple of times, but every time they get a little momentum, something happens to them one way or the other. Now it may be across the bridge in Brooklyn.
Well, they've had a lot of injuries already. You know, they've lost their last 4. So while they were intriguing at the start, and R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle are extremely started out extremely hot right out of the gate, they've definitely been struggling. They lost to Oklahoma City at home. They lost to Denver at home. They lost on the road to Charlotte. They lost to Brooklyn the other night. They're playing tonight at Cleveland, which is not going to be easy by any means. They've had some injuries. But for whatever reason, and Tom Thibodeau is a phenomenal coach. He did well here to an extent, let's say, when he was here in Chicago. Obviously, he went on to Minnesota. I don't know what the issue is, if it's a chemistry issue. You don't have a roster full of complete knuckleheads up there, but I don't know if it's everyone. You have a lot of individual talent, but less of a team talent. And they have, for sure, the Knicks have the talented enough players and a talented enough roster to win games, but they're just not melding well together. And as a Knicks fan, it is frustrating because every year you hear the roar at the Garden on draft night or at Barclays on draft night, with all these Knicks fans when they're getting a lottery pick or a top 5 pick. You know, you had Kristaps Porzingis turn into a great player. They moved him. Obviously, you have R.J. Barrett that could turn into a very, very great piece for them in the future, and he's having a good season this year. But it just never seems to come to fruition. You look at the Grizzlies. They've had opportunities with lottery picks, obviously getting Ja Morant and Jared Jackson, and you've seen the fruits of that labor pay off, and you've seen how close they were to making the playoffs last year over the summer in the bubble before Jaren went down, and you're really just not seeing that with the Knicks.
I want to go back to Brooklyn for a minute. If Kyrie Irving had a problem deferring to one guy at Cleveland in LeBron James, how is he going to defer to 2? If James Harden couldn't play with a buddy in Russell Westbrook, in Chris Paul, they put him together, how in the world is he going to defer to 2 guys here? The only guy that I know that actually I think would sacrifice a little bit for his team, because we saw that at Golden State,
saw it at Golden State.
Is Kevin Durant. I don't see how in the world this works. And I thought Shaq was spot on when he chided Harden last night, but also he said, okay, now you guys got to win a championship or you're all busts. Do you buy that?
It's hard for me to say it's a complete bust because you always have that chemistry and that ego issue when you have 3 superstars like that. But for sure, I would say it's a disappointment. I wouldn't say, hey, taking a team like the Nets and where they were last year, all of a sudden, let's say they make it to the NBA Finals and they lose to a Lakers team or whatever team may come out of the West, which I think will be the Lakers. I wouldn't say that's a bust, but it's definitely disappointing given the fact that the Nets are paying a lot of money, well into the luxury tax, for this roster. They gave up, like I mentioned, 2 very young, exciting players that are going to be around the league for the next 10, potentially 10 to 12 years, where you're not going to have a James Harden around the NBA or Kyrie for the next 10 to 12 years, or KD. You never know, but it's extremely unlikely. And so, yeah, I think you're not wrong, Dave. That's the goal. That's the be-all, end-all goal. That is what they want to do. They are opening their wallets, and they've made it clear that they need to hang a banner up at Barclays this season, or what was this all for? It will be interesting, especially if you remember.
This year. They got to do it this year. Is that right?
And you don't forget that Durant and Harden played together in OKC before OKC traded him, so there is some history there. And Kyrie, you have as a point guard. He's going to have the ball in his hand. Now, both KD and Harden can definitely take it off the glass and push it and bring it up themselves. But if that happens more often than not, especially with a player like James Harden, how will that affect the mentality of a Kyrie Irving, to your point, like you said? Because I've seen how he can potentially implode on certain rosters and then how that affects team chemistry. At the end of the day, you need 5 guys out there on the court. And so if you have 3 happy players... Say it again.
I heard Kendrick Perkins say that if LeBron beats this super team in the finals, that eclipses Michael Jordan. He doesn't need to hear any more from the 6-title Michael Jordan crowd that it makes LeBron the greatest ever.
I don't know. I can understand the point. I'm still not a believer in that. I think it was a different era. I think players today it's just a different league and a different era, and LeBron is a test tube baby. I do not think he's human. I think he comes from another planet with what he can do at being 36 years old and the physical specimen that he is, and it seems like he's never slowing down. To see what Jordan did with the Bulls and the wear and tear on his body over the years, and quite frankly, I understand Scottie Pippen was a very, very, very good player. I don't think he was at the level of some of the teammates LeBron had. So for my money, I would still pick Jordan.
I would too.
But I don't think there's a wrong answer if you want to pick one of the late Kobe Bryant, LeBron, or Jordan.
And I caution anybody anointing this Brooklyn team of being a great team until we see them play together for a little bit.
Yep.
And see how they defend, too, because
exactly.
The big guy Allen was their best
Great
defensive
point.
player.
And Kendrick made that point, too. You got to be a top 5 defensive team. Nobody less than 5's ever won it. He made that point as well.
Well, yeah, I think they're going to struggle there. So we found last year in the bubble that the Phoenix Suns certainly looked like they had a good chance. And, of course, they added Chris Paul, and they are for real. They're 7-4. Their start is good for a tie for third place in the Western Conference. Do you believe that'll be a team that will be in the playoffs when the year comes to an end?
I do. I do think they're a playoff team. I think they could potentially even win a first-round matchup. Now, obviously, it depends on who they're going to be matched up against, but I think they have done a great job of growing and keeping this core together. I think Devin Booker is emerging into a superstar. I think he's an underrated superstar. I don't think he's really thought of in the same realm as a Luka Doncic or Jamal Murray, what you saw in the bubble and everything he did, and these Donovan Mitchell, these young up-and-coming players. But he should be categorized right in that group. Obviously, adding Chris Paul's veteran leadership and savviness, he's going to make everyone on that roster better just by playing with him. I think they're getting production off of their bench. I think they're getting production from Cam Johnson, Dario Saric. We've got Javon Carter and Equan Moore on the team. Cameron Payne is a Memphian. He's out right now, but he can contribute here and there. Obviously, you got DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges, who's had a pretty good year so far. So, again, these are all players that have been in that system now and have grown together, this young core. Now you add in a leader like Chris Paul that can roll out of bed and get you a double-double. I do believe in them. Now, to sit there and say they're going to be a top 4 seed in the West when it's all said and done, I don't go that far. But I think they could absolutely be a top 6 team come playoff time.
Who do you like in the East?
I mean, I always like Milwaukee. I think they did a great job this offseason, obviously retaining Giannis, adding our client Bobby Portis, making the trade for Drew Holiday. I think they definitely got better. They're going to be there when it's all said and done. Miami and Boston they're very, very good teams. I don't see them going anywhere if you're talking about potentially 1, 2, and 3 in the East. But I will tell you this, and I think they're extremely well coached with Nate Rourke and the Pacers. And I was watching the game last night. They moved the ball so well. I do agree. I think they got better adding Karis LeVert.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
I think he's going to be more of a facilitator than Victor Oladipo was. I think they could really make a push to be a contender and to make Milwaukee and Boston sweat a little bit. Philadelphia, something about it. I mean, I know they're 9-4. They're having a good year. I don't see them as a long-term play going deep into the playoffs. I like Orlando and how they've grown and they've been successful this year, but I don't think they're experienced enough to make a long, hard push for the playoffs. So for me, I'd still say Milwaukee. I would still, though, put Boston, Miami, Indiana right there. And Miami, I know, is struggling a little bit, and Jimmy was out for a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think they're going to be right there.
Last thing for our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, I look at this, and I look at the top, and you just mentioned all those guys in the East, and you look at the Lakers and the Clippers, and now you got to throw in the Suns, and, of course, Utah, Portland, Denver, a team that I'm a little disappointed with, and when guys come back for Golden State. Which is the better division? Our conference. Which is the better conference, the East or the West this year? I think it's the closest it's been in the last 8-10 years.
I do. I agree. I think, man, that's a tough question. I will still say the West because you've got some really, really solid teams that right now are on that 5 to 10 seeding range in the playoffs in Dallas and Portland, Denver. I think Golden State's making progress, and they've got a healthy Steph Curry, and obviously even without Clay, they're still a very, very good team. You got Utah, Phoenix in there now that really wasn't talked about throughout most of the season last year until you got to the bubble. And so I think the bottom half, if you're talking about teams 1 through 10, even though only 8 can make the playoffs, 1 through 10, I think the bottom half in the West is significantly stronger than teams you have in that same range in the East.
Like the
in
Knicks
Charlotte,
and the Cavs.
Atlanta,
yeah.
the Knicks,
Yeah.
Orlando, Brooklyn. And again, we'll see what happens with Brooklyn. We'll see what happens with Orlando. But I would still put my money on some of those right now, lower seeded teams in the West. At the end of the day, they're probably going to climb up there and be solidly in the playoffs in a couple of months here.
He's our agent in Chicago. Andy Schiffman broke the news because of issues with the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Grizzlies, and the Timberwolves. That game postponed. We'll have to find out when they will make it up. Have a great weekend. Watch all the football and all the college and all the basketball, Andy, and we'll chat again next Friday.
That's all there is to do. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
That is all there is to do.
Thank you, Andy.
You're
Be
not
safe.
kidding. Thank you.
Take care.
My whole social life is with my wife in my den, and that's about all we ever do. Every once in a while, golf, but now it's too cold. It's the way of the world.
You're swigging on those tiger tails, too, over there.
I have had a couple of those tiger tails and a couple of glasses of wine over the past few months. There's no question about that. This portion of the program brought to you by the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. And I love bragging about them. I told you now, there are 355 national Genesis dealers throughout the country, big markets. And this formula is, some of it is sales. And yet, even in a smaller market, Genesis of Olive Branch is in the top 50. In fact, in the region, they're 10. In the district, they're number 2. Now, they want to be number 1. Number 2 is pretty good. They want to be number 1. So that means the service continues to get better and better. They'll keep upping the ante, raising the bar for the way car business should be done. And you can get opportunities out there, that is for sure. The GV80, they can't seem to keep them on the lot. Every time they get that new Genesis SUV, out it goes, but they have one demo they'll bring to you if you want. If you want to see this car and test drive it, call Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. That is his direct number, or call the dealership. Again, they'll bring that out to you, or a 70, an 80, or a 90. And they have plenty of G70, 80s, and 90s on the lot. That G70 is the best performing car I've ever owned. I've owned a lot of cars over the years. And on some of them, you can get 0% financing. That's only on the G70. So go see Vinny Gerard. No, these things last forever. That's why every Genesis car and every Hyundai gets a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And part of the service is they will give you maintenance package of 3 years and 36,000 miles free. They want to take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. It is time for Friday football forecast. Of course, we only got 4 games. That's all we've got. They are the NFL playoffs. We will make our picks when we return in just a minute.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
When you visit Navy Liquor at 7866 Highway 51 in Millington, you'll be treated like family by friendly, knowledgeable staff. Select are your favorite bourbon, vodka, scotch, beer, tequila, gin, and rum, as well as wines from all over the world. An amazing selection of sakis, too. Coldest beer in town. Beer kegs are available. Any beer, any wine, any liquor. You got the Navy Liquor hookup. Come see us, holiday or any other occasion. Navy Liquor, corner of Highway 51 and Navy Road in Millington.
Sam's new project needs a project manager right away if she's going to manage to hit her deadline.
It took an extra week to get approvals, but they still want the original delivery date. I guess we'll figure something out.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Final half hour of the week. And in case you're just joining us, the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves game tonight in Minneapolis has been postponed, and the NBA has put out through their communications department because of ongoing contract tracing within the Timberwolves. The team does not have the league required 8 available players, so they will have to cancel this one, and hopefully Memphis can come back and play tomorrow night and then play Phoenix. If Phoenix, which has been in protocol, if they are able to play the game on Monday to honor Martin Luther King. So let's hope all that is able to occur.
Let's do, Dave. And then a long trip out west for 2 games, Wednesday and Friday next week against Portland, and then back at home, back-to-backers with Sacramento. And also Adrian Wojnarowski reporting and writing at ESPN.com that the league and the Players Association are really close to expanding rosters to try to wade through this, really the most treacherous time of the virus and the most challenging time for the league since Rudy Gobert night.
Yeah. I get a little nervous when I see they're going to expand the rosters. Now, it's for a good reason, but you're expanding with guys that are you really going to care about? You're talking about two-way players or really G League players that are coming on, and the only reason you're putting them on is because they are a body in case you don't have one to sit at the end of the bench. And if you get in,
Dave, so
the
true.
level of play
it's
will
tantamount
go down.
to replacement players.
It is.
It's tantamount to what we saw in the NFL strike here. Not all of them, but it's a guy running around out there in the NBA uniform that by and large doesn't have any business being in the NBA.
Well, it is a little bit like, and what was that kid's name? Taylor Heineke? Isn't that the kid that played? And he played so well, and he's probably
he was in the playoffs.
He's going to be on a roster probably in the NFL next year. But he is an example of a guy that was brought in because of COVID. And then the kid, I mentioned that kid was going to play.
The lineman.
The lineman was going to play for both. He played for Indy, and he was picked up by Green Bay. Did you hear what happened to him? He got COVID. Or he got.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard
he's
that.
out of the game. They the day after I mentioned that, they had to put him on injured reserve for COVID, so he's not going to be in the game. So history is not going to be made. But that's what worries me. It is a two-edged sword. You need players for bodies to say you've got a team, but is it really the NBA team that you're used to seeing, the quality of play? No, it's not. No. But this is what we got to do.
About every baseball announcement, Bob Nightingale with a big story today that almost guaranteed to continue extra innings the way they did it last year with the runner on second and with DH for everyone. I don't think anybody holds out any thought of a 162-game baseball season.
No, I'm with you. I hate the DH. I really do, and I think I'm a minority, but I really don't care for it. I guess I can live with the guy on second base.
I hate that.
I know. I hate the DH more than I hate that. How's that? So we actually don't see eye to eye on that one.
And I hate using the word hate.
Yeah. We don't like. We don't. How about
Strongly
this?
dislike.
We don't care for it.
Yeah.
I don't care for the DH. I don't care really. I mean, if I'm the commissioner and I have a choice, I'm going to say no. We're not starting a guy on second base in extra innings. Certainly not in the playoffs. But I can live with that more in my mind than the DH. But I know I am a huge minority.
And I say it with zero glee, and I don't want to be pessimistic because it costs the same to be optimistic, but we try to be realistic, and we are very candid and very honest. I will believe I'm at a game watching the Memphis Redbirds at AutoZone Park when I'm sitting there, and the same for at Busch Stadium in St. Louis.
I hope that happens. And if it does, it'll probably be later in the summer than it would be earlier in the summer or in the spring. Oh, by the way, did you see the genius Theo Epstein is going to be involved with tweaking,
Dave, I love it.
Tweaking baseball? I do too. I call him.
He is a genius.
I know. I'm not being facetious when I say it. I believe in the guy. He broke two curses, for God's sakes.
Baseball can't afford to lose that brain power. You don't want to lose him. You don't want to lose him to Wall Street. You don't want to lose him to Silicon Valley. You don't want to lose him to another sport. I would hope, and I think he has his eyes on someday owning and running, everything, unquestioned boss of a organization. But I would hope baseball would be trying to groom him to be commissioner. I would trust baseball in his hands more than I do Bobby Manfred's.
I got to tell you something. That was the first thing when I read that story today. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Hope.
They are trying to groom this guy. They're going to see if he's going to become the next commissioner. He's already got 2 owners' votes, doesn't he? He's going to have the Cubs and he's going to have the Red Sox, you would think.
He already has a wing someday at Cooperstown. Why not him save baseball and we just add another building? All right, football this weekend doesn't start until later tomorrow. I love the how the games were staggered last week. 3:35 on Fox, NFC divisional game. Packers at home, 6.5-point favorite over the Rams. I'll go first, and I'm going against Bruce Marshall. I'm going to lay the 6.5, take the Packers. I'm going to take the Packers kind of easily, winning 10 to 12, 14 points.
Darn.
Dave?
I need to go against you, but I'm not going to be stupid in it. I was hoping you were going to go with Bruce. No, this is Lambeau. I don't trust Goff. I think the Packers are really good. I think the Packers are the second best team in the NFL, maybe even the best. I'm going with the Packers. Drew?
Show sweep, and I think this is the game that I bet Dave Coke on yesterday for the 19.5 victory, isn't it?
Yeah, you did.
You did.
So, yeah, I'm definitely going Green Bay.
Yeah,
I thought it was a Tiger Tail beer, though. Was it just a soft drink?
No.
I mean, it can be. I'll give him one of my 6-pack.
It was a Coke, but if you want to make it a beer, I'm willing to do that. You want to go?
I can do that.
Group lock.
Okay.
22-31 on group locks after we were group lock winners on Monday night in the last college game of the year.
And let me point out, just for your betterment, it's not just the Green Bay game. If any team wins by more than 19.5, you get the beer. If there's not a team that has that kind of margin,
shots at it.
that means
I'm
you're giving it to me.
Maybe in a past life, Dave was the local bookie. He to not bet one thin dime. He knows it and usually pretty good at it. Although this year and last weekend not so good. The other game on Saturday.
I'll give you the reason why in one word. COVID.
You're blaming it on COVID. That's good. 7:15 Saturday night, NBC AFC divisional game. Buffalo at home. How sad for those fans that waited so long now to have 2 games and not be able to go to either one. Buffalo 2.5-point favorite over Drew's Ravens. I don't even need to waste my ink. Drew, you take Baltimore, correct?
I do, but I'm going to be just as kind of pessimistic as I was last week against the Titans. If you remember, I was picking them just out.
I'm not confident at all. I think Buffalo's going to win this game. I think they'll win it by at least a touchdown. They're only giving away 2.5. I hope it snows like crazy. Buffalo all the way over Baltimore.
I'm with you, Dave. I think Buffalo romps them, lays the 2.5. Kind of my Bills.
Oh, your Bills?
My Buffalo Bills. Back to when
Bills.
Joe Ferguson from Woodlawn High and the Arkansas Razorbacks were their quarterback. Sunday, 2:05 CBS AFC divisional game. The Super Bowl champs, 10.5 over Cleveland. Give me Kansas City. Dave?
Wow. Yeah, I think Kansas City's going to win this game. I'm not for the big margins. If there's one game I might be able to pick up on you, it would be this one. Then I'll take the chance. I'm going to go Kansas City wins. Cleveland will cover the 10.5.
As Bruce described, he had it 32-29.
Yep.
Super Bowl champ Chiefs. Drew?
Easiest pick of the weekend for me. I think the Chiefs absolutely destroy them. They win them by 14 or do get me to that 19.5.
Are you logging into your FanDuel and playing it for keeps?
I'm gonna play all 4 of these. 3 out of the 4 games for keeps. I never bet on my on games where my teams are involved.
So I'm the only one that went Cleveland in this, other than Bruce Marshall. I went Cleveland to cover. You guys both go Kansas City to win and win by 11.
So you can make some hay. Last game of the weekend, and then the championship games will be decided. 5:40 Memphis time on Fox, NFC divisional game. Saints minus 3.5 at the Dome over Tom Brady. Saints all the way. They win easily. I'm sorry, TJ.
I'm with you. I don't see. There's a reason they won the other 2 games and they really killed them in Tampa. I think Brady's playing better, but the Saints are a better team, period.
Unfortunately, like you just said,
Group
sorry,
lock.
TJ, but group lock.
Yeah.
Saints all
Group
today.
lock can improve its percentage. Not many left. After today, just 3 more games, and then the crown will set on my head as Dave is now dormy with his picks today.
I'm dormied from that?
Oh, yeah. I'm at 22 points. You're at 11 points.
Oh, my
Drew
goodness.
is at minus 9 points.
My gosh. What was at my zenith, what was my point total and my lead?
You were way up, and I'm telling you, I have been. I have been. Similar to how you did it last year. Last year, I was way up, and then the Friday before game day, I'm down at Auburn. We had Jerry Lawler on that day. From that point on, you got hot last year and pulled away. About that same spell this year, I got hot and pulled away from you this year.
Yeah. I couldn't concentrate. I was just so nervous about protocol and
I know.
everything.
That's beautiful. That's too rich.
Just too tough.
Yeah, you did care, and you were worried about health concerns.
Absolutely. But I'm not worried about my heater because, I've had it checked. But you might be, and guess what? At Conway Services, it's once again free furnace time. John is always trying to spark interest and think about his company and think about you. So January is always one of the slowest months of the year. The warehouse is full. His crews are slow. So what does he do? He gives away a Carrier 80% gas furnace free if you buy a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right. You purchase the Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January, you get a gas furnace absolutely free. You pay nada. I love that. And if it's not enough, John says, okay, here's some more. I'll give you an April air cleaner. That's free. I'll give you a 10-year parts warranty. I don't charge for that. A free Nest thermostat, which, by the way, is an expensive thermostat. It's for the smart homes, and it's really cool. You can adjust your heat with your smartphone. It's 2020, right? 2021. So you get that for free. That's $2,000 in savings. Now there's more from John. You can get the system for as low as $139 a month, or you can pay 12 months interest fee. Anybody can do that. All you got to do is make the call. And by the way, once you do that, you're going to be getting the Conway Services award-winning service every time. 384-3511. 384-3511. That's the number for Conway Services. Heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the free gas furnace in the month of January. We take a break. We're back in just a minute. We got crunch time and a little bit more on this Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
When you think about Memphis-style hot wings, you better be thinking about Crumpy's Hot Wings, because they're made from the freshest ingredients and always deliver that mouth-watering taste that you expect from your hot wings. Now you can visit their new location at 420 South Germantown Parkway. You can also call them at 901-207-1273 and see for yourself why Crumpy's is simply the best. Ask for the Sports 56 special, which is 20 pieces of whole wings, large fries, and 4 drinks at just $38 for your family or group gatherings. Crumpy's Hot Wings, simply the best.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer's specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We busy with the deal, we get in fame.
So it is becoming a little bit more clear. We first heard that the Timberwolves-Grizzlies game was canceled about, 5:03 when Andy Schiffman joined us. Then we found out it was because of issues with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we found that about, I think Brett was the first one to find that. That came at about 5:10. Now we know it's Minnesota star Karl Anthony Towns who announced on social media that he's tested positive for COVID-19. And you know that he's going to take it very seriously because if my memory serves me correctly, he lost his mother from COVID. So this is scary for him, and they are shutting it down in Minnesota for a little bit, and that's why that game is canceled. Man, I don't blame him. I don't blame
I don't
him at
either.
all. Once we found
Not at
out
all.
it was Karl Anthony Towns, it really became an even bigger thing. That is for certain. We got crunch time. Go ahead.
He's very scared of it, sensitive to it, and still hurting over losing his mom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that fear is just how can you blame him? And we forget Karl Anthony Towns isn't that old. What is he? This 23, 20?
Yeah, he's still a young player.
He's still a young guy, right? Drew,
Journal
what
American Medical Association today in an article said that even asymptomatic people that had no trouble with it, that it can do enough lung damage to knock a year off of what you normally would have lived. Now, you get to 90, what the heck? What's a year?
25 years. 25 years
52.
old is what he is. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Something else.
Absolutely. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team, and they are a group of professionals that have a philosophy from Matt Eflin himself, and it's really all about service. It's about getting to know you so that they can take care of you in the right way. For instance, if you're looking for an auto program, if you're looking for home insurance, 10 leading companies that Matt and his team, after chatting with you, will assess and figure out which program fits your needs and your budget. Same thing goes now with life insurance. They got 15 well-respected companies that they'll sit down and figure out with you what's perfect for your needs and your budget. And they also do commercial insurance. Not many do both, but Matt Eflin does. They have virtually unlimited access to programs that would protect small to mid-sized businesses. That's what they concentrate on. If you've got one of those, please call Matt. Call Grant, Andrew, or Heath. They're the ones that are standing by at 901-386-GER. That's because they're Tiger fans. That number is 386-4777. They'll give you a quote today. Get protected the right way. They'll get to know you, and they fit what they have for your budget and your needs at the Eflin Insurance Group. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to get into the weekend with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Boop! Choo-choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On one, on two, on three. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. And a very, very touching tweet from Karl Anthony Towns about his positive test, and he ends it with saying to his nephew and to his niece Jelani and his nephew Max, I promise you I will not end up in a box next to Grandma. I will beat this.
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
Also learned
that
today,
is something.
That's poignant.
Yeah.
Man. I didn't see the Angel Cabrera story coming. I shouldn't chuckle. It could be some very serious
I know where you're going
domestic
with this.
abuse there.
Yeah.
But Dateline Sao Paulo, no, as far as I'm going, I didn't see it, but it's the world we live in. Also got this from Harold Grader from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Good note, with the hiring of Arthur Smith, first Memphian to be a head coach of an NFL team since Tommy Prothro.
I was going to say the only guy that I could think of that was ever an NFL head coach, a pro football head coach, is Tommy Prothro. So
he was the last one. It may have been some before him, but I don't know of any. But his dad, legendary with the Chicks, Doc Prothro, all-time winningest baseball skipper in Memphis baseball history, and Tommy Prothro. He was an accomplished bridge player late in life. What was it? What game did he? It was some card player, wasn't it?
I don't know. That part you got me on, but I'm serious. I was as I was formulating in my head what I was going to say. What I know now is that I think he's only the second Memphian ever to be an NFL head coach. So that
Tommy Prothro showed his after a UCLA loss to the Tennessee Vols the first year that the Liberty Bowl Stadium was open, and I mean he really had some cutting remarks about his hometown, and people didn't take too kindly to it.
I learned today, and I learned it from our friend Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal. His gut feeling after talking with the NCAA is that the IARP will not make a decision on the University of Memphis basketball team until next basketball season. So we're talking about we may have to wait till next November. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. Tigers just play on Sunday. Could do without this. Arkansas's had a good start to the season. Eric Musselman's rolling, but they beat nobody. They go to Tuscaloosa tomorrow, and Alabama, they've defeated some teams. They've won at Rupp, at Thompson Bowling, and at their rival Auburn. Now all those places are empty, but they're still going on the road and winning. They've won at home against Florida. Arkansas needs a big win because their 10 wins so far has been against nobody.
Brett, they're a good team. They beat Kentucky without three starters at one point. They were without a couple of starters to begin with.
Bruner,
Lost
without Jones.
Yeah. I mean,
they put it on Kentucky.
By the way,
a lot of people are going to do that to Kentucky this year.
Some of these finishes, the Texas win over West Virginia, which was fortunate when West Virginia missed, and then the Brown shot from the kid who had leukemia. That was a great story. And last night, McClung, I don't know if you saw that, but he hit a shot, not quite in the same spot, but on the right side of the floor. I thought it was a three, but it was enough to win with 2 seconds left to go in that
Good
game.
Player.
That was terrific. The thing I really liked, too, last night was Houston won their first game without James Harden. The very first game
2-0 without him on the year.
Yeah, I think that is really telling.
I'm watching the golf now. We'll watch golf, football, basketball all weekend. Can Aaron Donald disrupt Aaron Rodgers? That'll be fun to watch. Lamar versus Josh, Champs versus Cleveland, and TB12 and DB9. We'll be watching Grizzlies, Tigers all weekend. Golf should be fun.
Oh, it should be a great weekend. I love watching those golf tournaments from Hawaii. I mean, it just looks like paradise, and it really and truly is. We got to thank Bruce Marshall for all his picks, and he's got some upsets. The Rams winning straight up, Baltimore winning straight up, and Cleveland covering. So just so you know, that's how he went today. We got to thank Jason Munz and the news we just told you about. Andy Schiffman was the first one to break the story about the cancellation. We thank him. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
A good friend of mine told me about this